recognized that the world was completely backwards and felt trapped, cause I couldn't put my finger on exactly what it was. But I just knew things weren't the way they were supposed to be, and felt so out of place that I thought there was something wrong with me. I couldn't be who I was expected to be, nor did I try to be, and had trouble conforming to the norms of society. So I observed quietly, hyper-conscious, felt like I was dreaming, watching people conversating over the most meaningless nonsense, trying to make sense out of what all seemed so complicated. Couldn't comprehend the way that the world operated, the fact we had to pay to be alive on a planet that God created. I knew somewhere we got betrayed and the truth was obfuscated, and it weighed on my mind. But through time I come to realize all these lies and deceptions and misconceptions that led us in this direction, all so painfully blatant, and I just can't fucking take it anymore. So I'm breaking my silence and making a statement. You're gonna hear me now, yeah, now the whole world's gonna hear me out. I'm no longer staying silent, time to air it out. You're gonna hear me now, I'm gonna let you all know what I think about your fucking status and the shameless world and the state it's in. You're gonna hear me now, all the rage I've been trying to control within, the awakening that I went through, the anger that I've been holding. You're gonna hear me now, I'm gonna lay it all out on the table so you understand where I stand. It's time to stop pointing fingers and start blaming ourselves. We collectively created a hell, just look at the place, it's a disgrace. We should be ashamed of ourselves, letting a cacistocracy make a mockery of freedom. Shit, we live in a cross between 84, Brave New World, and idiocracy. It's a fucking comedy show, this country. How can we possibly tell ourselves we're free? Come on now, honestly, allowing the state of monopoly on forcing property in this country is supposedly founded upon the principles of individual sovereignty. Shit, we straight up turned around and pissed on the graves of the founders. Just look around us and tell me what the fuck is there to be proud of? All there is to see is a bunch of servile fucking cowards bowing to those in power as the rights get devoured. It's a joke. All you clowns and your fake ass patriotism, you're all just a bunch of willing slaves to the system. It's your ignorance we're up against. So crouch down and lick the hand that feeds you and make posterity forget that you were ever a country. You're gonna hear me now, yeah, now the whole world's gonna hear me out. I'm no longer staying silent, time to air it out. You're gonna hear me now, I'm gonna let you all know.
Hey, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining. I hope I'm coming in loud and clear. Let me make this full screen. There we go. All right, welcome. It is Wednesday, February 28th. My apologies for last week. I had some personal issues kind of come up and threw me off guard. I had to pivot a little bit, but I am excited to give this presentation titled Consciousness, Evolution and Devolution. There's a lot that I'm packing in this presentation, but of course, like always, I have a message that I'm trying to convey. So let me check the chat. How's everyone going? Let me know if you guys can hear me okay, if I'm coming in loud and clear. Michael, Fred, Manny, what's up? We're on Instagram. We're live on the One Great Work Network as well. Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Odyssey, Twitter, or X. So yeah, we got multiple platforms. Also streaming live to my website. willkeller.com. There we go. I'm blessed to be here to talk to y'all. It's been a hell of a week. It's been up and down, but I'm excited to dive into this. So without further ado, let's get it. All right. Okay, consciousness. This term consciousness, this word, I mean, it has so many different meanings. It depends on what circles you're kind of resonating in, or you know, who has their own perceived definition. But of course, like always, I'm going to simplify the profound, right? So in a world saturated with complex ideas and false concepts, there exists a unique skill, the art of simplifying the profound. My passion and expertise lie in unraveling the intricate tapestry of metaphysical and philosophical topics, transforming them into accessible and easily understandable content that gives someone clarity on what is actually happening in the world by understanding nature. So, my mission is clear: to make the profound not only comprehensible, but also applicable in our daily lives. Through education of the fundamental dynamics of reality, to gain an accurate perception of the causal factors and how to create change in life. So I guide my audience on a journey of intellectual, moral, and spiritual self-discovery. Each concept becomes a stepping stone, inviting individuals to explore the depths of thought without feeling overwhelmed. This is my motto: simplify the profound. There's so much bullshit out in the world today as far as information. I talk to a lot of people where they're just dumbfounded and their discernment is completely gone. Well, what do I believe nowadays? Like, what do I trust? And this is a great opportunity to dive into, especially a topic like consciousness. And we're going to talk about some misconceptions of consciousness and why this topic is foundational to the current condition of control and slavery and duress in the world, and why having a simplistic understanding of the foundational attributes and causes of consciousness related to the world is vital. I mean, it's crucial. We need to have this understanding. And I'm not stating that I know everything or know the totality. Quite the contrary. This is a journey and experience where we grow and evolve, which is almost the purpose of my presentation, talking about evolution. So, but that does not mean that we can't have stepping stones of understanding that are based in truth, that are correct, and that we can apply in life. Absolutely. We need to understand that this can be achieved. And we need to move in that direction. So, moving on, we're going on a quest, right? A quest to question. Quest ion. So, ion is energy, meaning if you're going on a journey, you're going on a quest, you have to expel energy, right? Life is not passive. It's an active journey. So this quote right here, it was, for my research, it was first stated by Albert Einstein, even though Albert Einstein was a plagiarist, and he was pretty much the Fauci of the day. He was the puppet for the general public to see. He plagiarized a lot of his content, but this quote does apply and is valid, and it's a great quote. The quote is, "You cannot solve any problem from the same level of consciousness that created the problem." This is a profound quote. And like any problem, the solution is within the understanding of the problem. Excuse me. So this whole presentation, we're pretty much going to stay on this question, right? We're going to expand on this, take it piece by piece, answer this question, and kind of unravel it. So keep that in mind. Keep this question in mind, and we will revisit this from time to time. So let's talk about the main steps to problem solving, right? We cannot solve any problem. Okay, so let's talk about the main steps to solving a problem. Number one, oh, what happened? I lost my number one. There it is. I put them out of order. Okay, number one, recognize that there is a problem. Fear-based denial of the problem must first be dealt with and conquered. So this means that if you are in the initial polarity of fear, which, fear is based in ignorance. All fear is based in ignorance. Then you are absolutely not going to be able to identify the problem correctly. So that has to at least be recognized, even at a fundamental level, like just being honest with yourself, saying that you are scared in certain situations, or the problem that you are involved in. You recognize fear. Because by recognizing fear, you are also recognizing ignorance, but you must know the difference. You must know that your fear is caused by ignorance. So, number two, recognize that symptoms are merely effects of underlying causes. Therefore, instead of simply treating symptoms, make an accurate diagnosis of the cause or causes of the problem. Having a correct diagnosis of what is going on today in the world is crucial. Now, diagnosis, dia meaning by way of, gnosis being knowledge, by way of knowledge. So we need to have correct, accurate information. And obviously, we can do this by the trivium method of truth discovery, which step one is grammar. You're gathering all the data, the raw data from an eclectic array of sources all over, and then we are going to analyze them, filter them, look for correlations, correspondences. That's the understanding stage. And then in the rhetoric, we can put forward our conclusion. But the biggest problem that I see, especially in the quote-unquote truth and freedom movements, is that there is so much focus and attention on the symptoms. Now, symptoms are valid, right? I mean, if I hurt my leg, well, if my leg is aching or stinging, those are symptoms. Something happened, something is wrong. So understanding the symptoms in the world today, it's good to recognize that there is a problem. But these are simply the symptoms. The whole manifested realm, the material realm, is the manifested realm. This is the realm of effects, meaning it has already materialized. So focusing on the symptoms, understanding that yes, we are being violated, we are being poisoned. I mean, you can go down the list, right? I mean, the war that is going on. These are all symptoms. Symptoms of a cause. So step three, through the knowledge acquired via accurate diagnosis by the trivium method, take the required action necessary to rectify the causal factors which led to the manifestation of the problem. So, these main steps to problem solving, this is the trivium method right here, right? You have grammar, understanding, and rhetoric. Grammar is in number one. Recognize that there is a problem. Gather all the information. You need to make a correct diagnosis, which is the understanding stage. And then you have you have your rhetoric, which you can take the required action necessary to rectify the cause, the causal factors. So this is a simple slide that, I mean, even in day-to-day life, right? These are the objective steps to solving a problem. right here. So they can be utilized, they can be applied to life. And we are going to apply them to the current human condition of what is going on in the world, right? So, moving on. This is going to be this is a little outline. It might not make sense now, but I'm going to, dissect this and take it piece by piece. When it comes to consciousness, we need to understand that there are levels of consciousness. There are 4 kingdoms, 3 worlds, 2 forces, 1 law. Now, there are many more kingdoms. There are many more layers of reality or dimensions. 2 universal forces that I'm going to talk about, and 1 law. Okay? So this is kind of like the index, the table of contents. So I want to start with talking about objective reality and subjective perception. We are living, we are co-creating, we are each having our own individual subjective experience, meaning that we all have our own subjective perception. Perception is the lens by which you view the world. But we are all in an objective reality. Okay, there's one reality that we are all co-creating, all beings. We are sharing this reality. Human beings, we are co-creating this reality together. And when I say objective, I'm talking about the laws of nature, which after this slide, I'm going to dive into. And I always kind of have this slide in here in all my presentations. So let me quickly run through this, right? Truth versus perception. So that straight line is the truth, right? The truth is simply that which has manifested and is manifesting. Your perception is not reality, but our work is to align the two. So our goal as human beings is to align our perception, the lens by which we view the world, by which that has manifested and is manifesting. So that corresponds to the straight line. The wave functions, that this is our perception, right? You can see on the lower red wave pattern, you have the arc and the trough, right? So this shows a low frequency of alignment, right? So your perception is in a low frequency of viewing or aligning to that which is the truth. Then moving up all the way to the blue, you are in a higher frequency, meaning that the information that you are taking in and you are discerning it and crunching all the data and processing all the data in our environment and within us. And then your actions, how you act in the world, is it going to be accurate, in alignment to that which has manifested? That's what the truth is, simply that which is. So this is a good way to have the visualization of truth versus perception as a waveform. And when we say someone is in alignment to truth, they are in a high vibratory frequency. This is what I am talking about. They are in higher frequency of reality, truth, nature, that which is, and that which is manifesting. So, what is that which is and is manifesting eternally and universally? It is the laws of nature. Natural law. Natural law is the truth. Now, the way that corresponds to our individual and our collective species, that can be discerned and determined as well. Like, we can have an accurate perception of how we are manifesting our current human condition, how we are interacting with the laws of nature. So what is natural law? Natural law is a set of universal, non-man-made, binding and unchangeable conditions which govern the behavioral consequence of beings with the capacity of holistic intelligence and understanding the difference between harmful and non-harmful behavior. Natural law is a huge category. I mean, it goes into every facet of reality. I'm using natural law into as what it is, the cosmic, karmic, moral law, right? Morality is based on our actions, how we act in the world. That's the cause, and there's going to be an effect. I'm going to break down this cosmic, karmic, moral law. Cosmic comes from kosmos. It means order. That's the etymology. Karma is Sanskrit. It means action. Morality, meaning morality is the difference between right action or wrong behavior. If you are moral, then you are in right action, meaning that you are not initiating harm or aggression to another sentient being. And law. Law is an immutable, unchanging condition. Let me define natural. Natural comes from nature. Nature, Commission, nature, it means creation. Non-man-made, creation. Natural means of, from, or related to creation. So these are the laws of creation. You can call them God's law, but don't get that confused with the cultural religions. These are the inherent governing dynamics of reality. The truth. So this is important to understand because this is objective reality. We are operating in this reality. We are all bound to these laws. They dictate the consequences of how we act in the world. And we are going to co-create the condition that we deserve by how we act. So, objective reality. Let's go a little bit more deeper. So again, cosmos from the Greek. Kosmos means order. Now, when we talk about natural law, these are the metaphysical laws. Sure, there are physical laws that a lot of people know of, gravitation, thermodynamics, magnetism, but what supersedes that is the metaphysical laws. The natural, cosmic, metaphysical laws. These are mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and mental gender. I'm going to do a whole presentation on each of these, and with simplistic examples in reality and their definitions. You can use these to teach your children. That's mainly what the presentation is going to be for, coming up in a couple weeks. I'm super excited about it. Now, those are the 7 laws. The 3 principles. From the 3 principles arise all the infinite variety of combinations of manifestation. 1, consciousness. 2, energy or motion. And 3, substance or matter. We're always going to have these 3. This is the Trinity. We're always going to have consciousness. Consciousness is prime. That's always going to have motion and energy, and we're always going to have some type of matter or substance from that. We have principle and attribute. There's always a cause and always an effect. So it's good to understand this This is going a little deeper into natural law. But the reason why I wanted to talk about the three principles, because this is going to apply to consciousness. A lot of people think consciousness and mind are the same thing, and there's some variations of that, right? From mind, we get consciousness, energy, and substance. I'll state that again. From mind, the number one cosmic law, mentalism. The all is mind. The universe is mental. So mind is that source, is source. It's the eternal aspect of us. From that, we have mentation, motion, energy. And from energy, we have substance, matter, density. So, talking about the three worlds and the four kingdoms. And again, there are more kingdoms in this. Okay, I'm trying to ease the viewers into some deep esoteric occult information. And I'm going to build up to that. I'm super excited to get really into the deep occultism. But we're going to take it, in a stepwise progression. So let's talk about the three worlds, right? When I say worlds, I'm talking about dimensions, layers of objective reality. Okay? Number one, thought, the world of thought. And we can break these up into two variations where you have abstract and concrete. Then we go into desire. You can call this the emotional world. You can call it the etheric, the astral world as well. There's many different names for that. As long as we have an understanding of what I'm talking about, layers of reality. And then we have the physical world, physical density and substance, right? So we see the three principles in the three worlds as well. We have consciousness, emotion, physicality, right? So again, the physical world is the chemical region. And also there's the etheric region. And that brings us up to the astral or the emotional region. And then we get into thought, mind, right? So the four kingdoms, which again, there are more than that. You could, if you want to start at the foundational one, this is the elemental world, kingdom, right? From the elements, then come the mineral kingdom. And then we have the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, and the human kingdom. And yes, it will go on from there as well. Okay? One thing to note, I will state that there is a celestial kingdom as well. So the anima mundi, right? This is a phrase meaning soul of the world. Yes, the planet is a living being. The celestial bodies are alive. They are a higher kingdom than even us, right? We look at the human being inside of our own body and our microbiome, our cellular, the nervous system, our bones. We can see it's a whole universe within ourselves. It's very similar to a planet, right? With the human beings and the plant, mineral, and animal kingdom as well. So that's good to know. Now, I'm going to briefly talk about this. So when we look at the mineral kingdom, right, it has a collective spirit as well. Collective spirit and an ego. Its kind of own personality that separates, from quartz to limestone, right? There's kind of a division of its own identity, but it also has its own collective spirit as well. Okay, and this is in the realm of thought. Everything comes from thought, but it only achieves the physical, the chemical region. So it has a dense body. Then we move, it does not have a vehicle for the etheric. It does not have a vehicle for the emotional, and it does not have a vehicle for the concrete region of thought. So within the plant kingdom, yes, it has a chemical, a dense body. Plant kingdom also has a vital body, an etheric, energetic body. It does not have emotions. And I'm going to say this right now. Many people always, pull out the study of, plants have emotions. No, they do not. They do not have emotions. That is a misinterpretation by the scientism materialists, the scientists. They do not understand occultism. They do not understand these layers of reality. When they perform these studies, they are seeing that plants are responding to stimuli on the etheric level, the etheric layer of reality. They are conflating that with emotion. That is not emotion. It is a response to energy. So through the etheric, energetic reality, there is communication. You have to understand that plants are attached to the earth, the ground. They are an extension of the celestial kingdom. Okay, so they do not have emotion. They do not have a central nervous system. They do not have the spiritual components, the hardware to activate emotion, right? Just a vital body. And yes, they do have a collective spirit and an ego as well. The animal kingdom, yes, has a dense body. Yes, has an etheric vital body. And yes, has a desire emotional body as well. Animals have emotion. They also have a collective spirit and an ego. So, why this is important, because right when we get into this category of the animal kingdom having the emotions as well, we get into sentience, autonomy. Animals are autonomous. They have sentience. Sentience means that you have emotion. You can think and feel. Now, obviously, they're not at the level of human beings, but they are sentient beings. Now, let me go back and state this. Plants are not sentient. They are conscious. They have consciousness. All is consciousness, different layers and levels of consciousness. But plants are part of consciousness, not sentience. So when we get into the animal kingdom, now we're in sentient beings, right? But animals, of course, do not have the higher order thinking. They do not have that concrete thinking that we have of logic and reason, or willpower as well at that level, at that spiritual level. But they have a collective spirit and an ego. Human beings, we have the dense body, the vital body, the emotional body. We have mind, right? Both with concrete logic and reason and abstract region as well, imagination. Okay, and we have the ego, the individual aspect of ourselves, right? I am will. Now, of course, I am not just will. I am will in this incarnation, having this experience. Remember, we are having a subjective experience in an objective reality. So what's the difference between spirit and soul? Because layers of consciousness, you can picture this as a spiral. It's really more like a toroidal field, a torus, which a spiral is just the inverse negative image of a toroidal. This is what the spiral is. if you picture the all, source, mind, then from there, it expands into an outward expression of experiencing itself, which creates the layers and levels, the layers of reality, but also the levels of consciousness. So I will state in my personal belief, I will say when I believe something or if I don't know something, but from my experiences and my research, we evolve from these levels of consciousness, from the elemental to the mineral, to the plant, to the animal, to the human, and beyond. So what I'm saying, it's a stepwise progression. If the evolutionary process is activated within the individual, the ego. The ego is the vehicle of the individual self that allows me that I am the single unit of infinite consciousness. I am going to take this experience to evolve and grow, to experience itself, and to step upon the spiral staircase of consciousness to eventually work my way back up to source. Right? So that is the progression. So animals, once they have achieved their requirements, that soul that has started from the animal, anima. This is what anima means. It means soul. They will graduate and incarnate as a human being. All right? Marinate on that for a little bit. So, and of course, as human beings, we do have an animalistic characteristic of ourselves, but there are many differences as well. So, moving on, the two universal forces. So as I was talking about expanding on that journey of self-discovery and moving towards the layers or the levels of consciousness towards evolution, here are the two forces that are at play. We have evolution or syntropy, and then we have involution, entropy. Syntropy or entropy, evolution or involution. These are the two forces. You can imagine this as literally a spiral staircase, right? Now, evolution, syntropy, the forces are bringing you up the staircase to higher levels of consciousness, higher levels of being. Now, the force of involution is the force walking down the staircase, compressing, walking back down to the lowest level. Now, both of these forces are, universal characteristics of reality. They're both important and must be understood. So what is evolution or syntropy? Okay, so what are some of the characteristics of this force? Well, it is creation, it is advancement, it is complexity and diversity, it is truth, wisdom, consciousness, goodness, morality, freedom, life, survival, and ultimately, in a nutshell, it is order. So, the syntropic force is the ordering force of the cosmos, of natural law. When you are in alignment, in harmony with natural law, with nature, you will experience the consequence will be order. Truth, wisdom, creation, advancement, goodness, higher levels of consciousness. And then if you're in opposition, we have involution. Now, involution, if you look in the natural world, of course, you have evolution in the plant kingdom and the animal kingdom, right? Let's look at plants, right? Evolution, consciousness wants to expand, propagate, become more diverse. Involution would be the force of denigration, stagnation, simplicity, uniformity, ignorance, deception, unconsciousness, evil, immorality, slavery, death, and extinction. In the natural world, we can see the breaking down of plants or a body decomposing, right? This is the force that is breaking it down to its base elemental foundation, ready to be recycled. When it comes to human beings, are we in alignment with natural law to be to step into the slipstream of evolution, or are we in involution, where involution is going to break us down because we are not in alignment to nature? It wants to break us down back to our fundamental compounds, right? Fundamental of mind and energy to start again, right? Death, life, life, death. So, but in the human domain, of course, if we are in opposition to natural law, we are going to see control, duress, evil, immorality, slavery, death, and extinction. So these are the two overarching forces. Now, how does this apply to consciousness, right? Well, first, what is consciousness? So, of course, there are some really, wooey and out there definitions of consciousness. Mark Passio came up with this one, and I absolutely 100% agree with it. Consciousness is the ability of a being to recognize patterns and meaning with respect to events taking place, both within oneself and in the realm in which the self exists and operates. So you can say simply, consciousness is awareness, but it's much more than that. It is pattern recognition. It is the ability to recognize patterns. This is one of the aspects that separates human beings from animals, that we have a higher capability and function than the animal kingdom, plant, mineral, that we have the ability to recognize patterns. We are endowed with free will to activate free choice and to recognize patterns and meanings. Animals, they have will, but they do not have free choice to exercise outside of their instinctual nature or condition. Animals are instinctual. Just like plants react to stimuli, it's an automatic response. But human beings, we have the capability to choose, to do or not to do. So, of course, like I was stating, there are levels of consciousness. Okay, now let's bring it in just to the human kingdom. Within the human kingdom, it's a huge gradient of levels of awareness. But to say you have high level of awareness, does that equate to a high level of consciousness? Let's find out. Let's find out, right? So, we need to talk about human nature first, because this is going to lead right into all the other information, right? With consciousness in mind. And we're going to dive deeper into consciousness after this slide. So, human nature. Okay, as human beings, we are a higher level of consciousness than animal, plant, and mineral kingdoms, with the capacity for higher thought functions capable of logic and reason, which give us the ability to influence and create change in our environment through our free will. Human nature is neither good or bad, but actually capable of becoming either or. We are a programmable species, meaning the knowledge you take in affects the way you perceive the world, thus dictates your behavior. So, human nature is not good or bad. It's capable of being both. The nature of a human being is that we are programmable. Through our free will expression, we have the capabilities to choose how to act in the world. This gives us the choice to evolve or not. Right? The question comes in, are you conscious of it or unconscious of it? So you can look at it garbage in, garbage out. Quality in, quality out. Okay? Now remember, our goal as human beings is to align our perception to the truth, to nature, to reality. Right? So the information that we take in, what is the validity of that information? Because our behaviors and our actions are dictated by the information that we have taken in and that we have processed. So, human nature is that we are programmable. Human condition is something different. Human condition is the quality of our experience, the state that we are in, the quality that a human being is in their current existence, right? Humanity in the aggregate, in the collective. What is the condition of humanity? Of course, it is one of slavery, duress, ignorance, tyranny, right? But that is not the nature of human beings. The nature of human beings is that we are programmable. We can take in correct information, process it correctly, and align and act in the world morally so that we align with the force of evolution, natural law. Okay. So, I want to use a very simple analogy with talking about human nature and the human being. Now, again, you can use a computer. I'm using a radio, right? Old school radio. Okay. Again, don't take the analogy too far. This is an analogy is a way for me to explain information at a level that is easily comprehensible, right? Even for children, right? I use the same method for my daughter as well. She's 10. Okay, so a human being is like a radio in this sense. Okay, so we have the radio itself, which is the human body. Now, the antenna, that is a dipole antenna. And if anyone watched my Spirit of Water, then you understand that the harmonic resonance, the geometry of water, is the isosceles triangle. It is the triangle, which it is a dipole antenna. So water itself is the antenna for human beings as well. This is why water is in everything, all life. It is the antenna. It is the bridge between spirit and matter. Spirit being the eternal aspect of us, the all, the source, right? This is what we call source. You can call it God. So water allows us to take in information in our environment, it is the antenna. So the signal that is coming in, that is all around us, the ethers, the morphogenic field, right? The field of consciousness, the field of information. This is how we can go into a room and we pick up bad vibes from someone. Your pets operate very well in the morphogenic field. This is how they know that you are down the street and you are coming home. Okay, they are the information that they are picking up from the morphogenic field or the ether. This is done through the water in our vessel. Check out the Spirit of Water presentation for more details on that, right? So now we have the signal, which I'm labeling source, right? Source consciousness. Now, again, there's other signals in the environment as well. The controllers of our world and the social engineers are very good at, muddying up call it interference with frequency and signals and information. They're very good at that. Put this right there. Okay. So there's a lot of information that we are taking in and expelling as well. But I'm using the signal as source. God, right? That we can tap into. That's our connection, our divine connection. Okay? And that is the dipole antenna. Then we have the dials on the bottom, which is the receiver and the gain. The receiver or the processor is our brain. Okay, our brain is the main mediation for human consciousness. Now, I'm not saying consciousness is just in the brain. I'm saying that the brain in the human being is a huge aspect, one of the main aspects of processing information that allows us to manifest and operate in this reality, the brain. The heart is also a part of consciousness, our consciousness, and we can see that as the gain, because the heart is the pump. It pumps the blood. What's in the blood? The life force is in the blood. Our energy is pumped throughout the vessel. Okay, so this is the gain. It's like the amplifier for the radio. It's the amp for the electricity, so the radio can operate. Okay, and of course they're dials. We can turn them up. We can fine tune them. We can be in alignment, and we can have frequency. Just like the first slide, right? Are we in a high frequency to truth? The frequency is our condition that we are in. Are we in alignment to natural law, to evolution? Or are we in opposition and involution? This would be the condition of the human being, but for the analogy, the frequency is the station that you're on. A lot of people are just getting static. That's it. They're not getting a clear frequency, getting the clear message from source, getting clear signal from the environment, right? So, and then of course the speaker is the broadcast, which this is our actions. It's our quality of experience, like our human nature, right? How we are acting in the world, the quality, the state that we are in is due to the information that we have taken in and are taking in, right? Or the quality of the frequency. So this is just a simplistic analogy. Again, don't take it too far. You can use a computer as well, right? A computer has a processing chip. It is hooked up to the internet, the Ethernet, the signal, right? You have the screen, which displays the condition. You have to format the drive, which is the base level of laying the operating systems, which equates to the formative years of the human being, 0 through 7 years, which is the most important time period of a human being's life, because you are formatting the perimeters, the fundamental information that the being is going to grow and operate from. So that's another analogy. I like to use the radio. My bad. Moving on. Now, let's talk about the expressions of consciousness. Like I was saying, at least the last, many, many years, the materialist and the atomists called themselves scientists, consciousness, it just comes from the brain. Consciousness is threefold. And these are the expressions. We have, number one, thought, mind. That is number one. From there, we have emotion, energy in motion, creates motion, like the three principles I talked about, right? So, thoughts, emotions, and actions. Mind, spirit, body. So these three, this is what qualifies as consciousness. Let me see. This frequency is good. Thanks, Jana. Sorry, my dogs are getting a little wild. Anyway, so this is the expression of consciousness. Okay, and again, you have the spirit, which is the cup, represents as the divine feminine aspect. Then we have the body, which is the chalice. I'm sorry, excuse me. I said cup. Yes, that's correct. It's also called the chalice, right, for the divine feminine. And then we have the body, which is the blade, right? And that is the divine masculine. Now, the brain is the processor of information. It is the most crucial function of our vessel when it comes to consciousness, right? I mean, yes, the heart as well, lungs, the guts, but the brain, as far as consciousness, processing the frequency coming in, the signal, the information all around us, this is what the brain does. It is the receiver. It is the processor of information. So I want to talk about the triune brain. Okay, there's three sections of the brain. Let's start at the brainstem, at the red section, which is the hindbrain. This is the cerebellum, which is the reptilian part of the brain. Okay, this is for instincts, survival, breathing, fight or flight, or freeze, involuntary, and reflexes. Okay, so this is a very old base function of our brain, the reptilian. Moving up to the midbrain, which is in the center, the blue area, we have the limbic system. Okay, this is for our emotions, imagination, dreams, pleasure, pain. The mammalian, as in the mammal, right? And then moving up, we have the neocortex. This area is for our higher order thinking, right? Intelligence, reason, self-awareness, analysis, planning. This gives us the capability to say, I am a human and I can observe my own thinking. Self-awareness. We are self-consciousness, which separates us from the animal kingdom as well. Now, again, The brain itself, the reason why I'm showing this is because, keep in mind, when we go to the levels of consciousness, we are going to notice that when you observe reality and the condition, the human condition, you are going to make a correlation with these sections of the brain where you're going to understand, if we observe our current human condition and see in the aggregate there is so much ignorance, so much human suffering, tyranny, and control and duress. It's obvious human beings do not have correct information to A, diagnose a problem correctly, and B, have the solution and act on it correctly. But this gives us some insight into the average individual. What part of the brain is dominant in their lives? Well, higher order thinking, intelligence, reason, self-awareness, analysis, right? That's out the window. Of course, I'm not saying it's completely dead in individuals. I'm just saying it's not dominant. It's not firing. It's not activated on continual activation. Emotions, this is where I think a lot of people are in. A lot of people are in the pleasure and pain. They are emotionally reactive. They judge information by the way it makes them feel. They make decisions by their emotional stability, right, in the limbic system. And then a lot of people are firing from the reptilian. A lot of people are just in survival. They don't want to worry about anything except themselves and just surviving on a day-to-day basis, right? And they are also very reactive as well. So this is why understanding the triune brain is important for consciousness and also applying it to the world as well. And of course, always apply this information to yourself first and then the world, because this is what it's all about. It's all about evolution, stepping into that slipstream to evolve on that upward spiral towards higher consciousness. So, moving on, let's talk about the human brain on the hemispheres of the human brain. This is a looking at the brain taught from above down, right? We have the right side of the brain, which is intuition and feminine, right? We're splitting these two, and it's not like one of them only does this function, but they each have their own unique attributes and characteristics of function. This is what I'm explaining. So we have the blue side of the brain, right? This is the feminine aspect, creativity, holistic thought, compassion, intuition. The right side, the red, is the masculine, is the intellect. We have logic, analytical thought, science, and math. Now, to have intelligence, you have both of these hemispheres married together. This is called the alchemical wedding. You have the feminine and masculine unified, meaning you have a balanced hemispheres of the brain. Because the feminine is the creative, the generating aspect. And the masculine is the intellectual, the logical aspect. So you have intelligence. This is what it means. A lot of people think that, oh, this person is intelligent. They have intelligence, that it purely means intellectualism. No. You have, it's also called the middle path, where you have a healthy balance of both sides of the hemispheres, where you have that logic and reason, but also the holistic creativity and compassion as well. And then, yes, when you bring the chalice and the blade together, of course, you get the unification, and you are in balance and unity. So, from there, let's talk about, there it is, the natural law expressions. So how does consciousness and natural law, what's the relationship of this? What's the relationship of consciousness to natural law? We talked about natural law being the objective reality, the truth, and we need to align our perception to the truth, right? So let's talk about the causes and effects of that. So on the left category, we have the expression, which is the going from top to bottom. We have the generative polarity. Then we have the initial expression, which is how it starts. Then we have the internal expression, which is what happens inside us internally. And then we have the external expression, what happens in society, because we have taken the actions externally. And then on the bottom is the actual manifestation, the result that we created. All right? So we have the 0 point. What is the polarity? Is it going to be love or fear? All is love. But when you have lack of love, then you have fear, and fear is ignorance. Let's go down. Let's start with the positive, the green, my dogs, the green category, right? So our 0 point, what we use to create our current state right there in the here and now. Is it love, which means consciousness, awareness, which we can use in the initial expression of knowledge, our acceptance of truth, and we can use that in our internal expression, right, of sovereignty, which is internal monarchy. Monarchy means ruler of one, ruler of self. And then in our external expression, we have freedom. So external anarchy. Anarchy meaning no rulers. And then we manifest order in society. So it's top down. So as I'm saying this, yes, this can apply as individuals, but that's not. You need to understand that in the aggregate, it always starts from the individual itself, right? The individual, first of all, individual means non-divided. So when we say individuals, we need to understand that we are having an experience as a single unit, as the monad, a single unit of infinite consciousness, and what we do as individuals matters, but what we do applies to the whole system that we are all a part of. This is the non-divided, that we are the interconnectedness, that we are all connected together. So I'm talking about what is the aggregate consciousness of human beings. What is the relation to natural law? This is what we get. If we are in the polarity of love and we have knowledge, correct knowledge, and the acceptance of truth, then we can align with natural law and we can be in a state of sovereignty and self-ownership. And then when we act on that, on our ownership, and we have right action, then we are acting in the world towards freedom, and then we create order. But when the collective or the aggregate are in an unconscious polarity, the polarity of fear, which is ignorance, the refusal of truth, that leads to internal confusion, internal anarchy, meaning no ruler, meaning you don't have control over yourself. There is no self-ownership. You have internal confusion, and then you have the external condition of control, which is external monarchy, meaning a ruler, one ruler like government. And that leads to chaos, which is the manifested result. So this is the relationship of consciousness and natural law. Now, we can see top down in this order. It does not bounce from one category or the other. Let me see if I can go back to that. You have to have the initial polarity of love, the 0 point. From there, you progress knowledge, then you progress sovereignty, freedom, order, and that's the fashion that it evolves. What is the fashion or function that it involves? An involution: fear, ignorance, confusion, control, chaos. This is called the rhythm of life. There is a rhythm. Objective reality, meaning that there are objective standards on how reality operates, and it is natural law. We can come to understand this, harmonize internally, and act correctly for humanity. So, we can see that the initial expression, how it starts in our thoughts, always starts in our thoughts, right? And then we have emotions. From thoughts, we have the feeling. We are in the desire realm or the desire world from one of the previous charts, right? Desire, what is desire? Desire is care. What are you desiring? Are you desiring your own, your own egoic, lowercase w will? All you care about is me, me, me. Screw everyone else. You don't care about freedom. You don't care about humanity. You don't care about evolution. You don't care about truth. Or do you care about morality? You care about right action. You care for truth. This is the internal expression. So thoughts and emotions are the internal realms. And then we have the external expression, which is our actions, our behaviors externally. It's the science, baby. We're talking about science here. There's a rhyme and a reason. There's no such thing as chance. Chance and coincidence was invented by low-level consciousness human beings, because they do not have a correct diagnosis of reality. So they call it chance. They call it a coincidence. They do not understand the cause. Right? So what I'm putting forth is a science of the rhythm of life. And it's good that we need to understand this at a profound level. Think about it within your own self and then apply it to the world. So, the secret science. I hope everyone's enjoying this presentation. We will get to an open discussion later on. So again, the link to join the studio is on my website. So the secret science. And again, this whole presentation is a tapestry. The information of true freedom is the most suppressed and ignored knowledge on the planet. It has been hidden from the general public of humanity for thousands of years, but has been available for those seeking the truth. This knowledge is the most empowering information one can receive because it is the ultimate solution, whereby all other practical actions we can take are built upon. This knowledge entails how human consciousness corresponds to the natural world, our reality, and why the laws of nature are inseparable to achieving and maintaining human freedom. This information that have been explaining and will be explaining, unfolding, right? This knowledge of consciousness and natural law and how it all relates. This science, this is the science of achieving freedom or achieving slavery. This is what they don't want people to understand, because it is the ultimate solution. Because if you take in correct information and then you have a correct diagnosis of the problem, an accurate perception, then you can take action on that. And they do not want people understanding truth, natural law, and how to create change. They're going to do everything. The social engineers are going to do everything in their power. And that means wars, deception, death, murder, all this horrible shit. All of it is to keep you focusing on that, the symptoms, the effects, as long as you do not understand the science of change. Because that's what they do not want. Because the fact of the matter is, the majority of people are unconscious to the cause, to the problem, and to how to, and are unconscious to the solution. We are, in the aggregate, human beings are doing this to, we're doing this to ourselves. Because we are unconscious, or those that are unconscious. So, natural law, the secret science. Now, here is the secret science as well. Okay, how our reality is built. How our reality manifests. Number one. And all this and all the charts that I've already laid out, they all go together. Number one, knowledge. Right? Or lack thereof. So this is the building block, the foundation. Available information. This constitutes potential knowledge that may be gathered, processed, understood, and acted upon by individuals. Number two, understanding or lack thereof. From available information, now we can go to decision-making processes. These processes take place in the human mind and are chosen by each individual based upon available information. Based upon the available information. Then you can come to an understanding and make a decision. What happens if the available information is lies, deception, misdirection? What is your decision-making process going to be like? It's going to be shite, incorrect, which then your behavior will be garbage, immoral. This is the third building block, which is wisdom or lack thereof. Each individual's behavior is based upon the quality of their decision-making processes, which in turn are based upon the quality of their available information. And from there, we get the manifested effects. The manifested result, the generated result. Is it order or chaos, evolution, involution? So the quality of this condition which manifests in any society is based upon the aggregate quality of human behavior within that society. So, looking at our current human condition, it's obvious, right? Step one of problem solving cannot be in fear. Humanity, as a species, are completely unconscious to natural law, how to operate in the world, objective morality, the science of natural law, how to create change, how to harmonize, how to step into the slipstream of evolution, goodness, and progress to create a healthy, functioning society. We do not have that. Why? It is because available information is incorrect. Think about the social engineers. Think about this, the control system, the media, the indoctrination, public educational system, the allopathic, the medical care, 24-hour streaming and news, false flags, psyops, deception, the physical, biological, chemical attacks they have going on, right? I know it sounds a lot. This is a black pill, okay? But we don't want to stay stuck there. I'm talking about all the disinformation and the deception that they are throwing at the public, at humanity. You have to infiltrate available information, because if you can infect the information, then you create a power differential. So people will not have a correct, their decision making will be incorrect, which leads to incorrect actions in the world, which then generates slavery and control. It's a science, people. So this is how our reality manifests. And this, again, is also the trivium method of truth discovery. Knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Also, thought, emotion, action. From bottom up. And then we get the generated result. Oh, man. I forgot to take that out. That must have been hidden. Okay, I'll fix it when I upload my slides. The problem, secondary text, body text. That's funny. Okay, what is the problem? Most of my viewership understands, but for those that don't, the problem, the human condition, the condition of humanity. Are human beings free? Are we free to exercise our natural rights unrestrained? Or are we living in a perpetual state of duress, which is the threat of violence being conducted upon us if we do not comply with the commands of the ruling class? That's a question. You got to ask yourself these questions. Are we free to exercise our natural rights unrestrained, unrestricted? And the answer is no, absolutely not. Humanity is choosing to be enslaved because the majority of people do not know the difference between right and wrong behavior. They lack the knowledge of objective morality under natural law and the care to change due to the lack of self-respect. Thus, the control and thraldom, which is also another word for slavery, will advance per the laws of nature. So this is the problem, that humanity is unconscious to, they are unaware to this information. Because even having a low level of consciousness, it still means that you have activated thoughts, emotions, and actions, but just at a lower level. So when someone says, "Oh, I'm extremely aware. I have a high level of awareness," but that doesn't necessarily equate to a high level of consciousness. A high level of consciousness means your thoughts, emotions, and actions are aligned. You understand natural law, the science to create change, and you are taking it. You are activated. That is a high level of consciousness. So, epigenetics. This is getting to the problem. Okay? There we go. So what is epigenetics? It's the Greek, let's define the word, right? Greek epi, meaning beyond, further than, and the Latin verb generare, meaning to make or to create, right? So epigenetics is beyond the genes. That's what that means. Epigenetics is an occulted branch of science that acknowledges consciousness as a factor to affect gene expression and cellular function, ultimately shaping the biological, emotional, and psychological development of human life and society. Gene expression can be activated or deactivated by thought, which can also be influenced by or from the environment. The social engineers know that by influencing humanity with false information and dialectics, they can indirectly manipulate the progression of human development. Epigenetics, it's starting to be talked about. Mark is diving into this right now. Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza are fantastic sources to understand epigenetics. But ultimately, what epigenetics is talking about, it's talking about that consciousness and our thoughts is responsible and influences our genetic expression, our gene expression. Not that we are a victim and we are subjugated to our physical genes. So this is going beyond the material realm, which of course, consciousness and energy for sure, absolutely is the metaphysical is beyond the physical. Try to get my dog for a second. Come here, buddy. There we go. So, why this is important. So this topic, thousands of years old. This is what occultism has been talking about. This is the secret information that the occultists have been training or initiating people within. It's this information. What consciousness truly is and the science of natural law. And that our thoughts are prime. And they have an effect on the physiology of the human being as well. So why this is important is that the social engineers know that if human beings have an inaccurate perception, inaccurate decision-making, inaccurate or immoral behavior, this is going to create a state of involution. Now, when you're in a state of involution, it is the breaking down of. They want to, this is all government and all the social engineers do, right? They manufacture the problem and they also provide the solution. Think about the human beings that are getting weaker, even physically, mentally, spiritually. Their involution is like a folding into itself and breaking down. Okay, there's the problem. What do you think the solution's going to be? Machines. That's what it's going to be. This is where the transhumanistic agenda comes in. Human beings are going to be frail. They have devolved so bad that this is ultimately what they want to do, right? They want to merge human beings with machines. But ultimately, it's for control. They are influencing what you think. They are managing your perception. And if you can have perception management, then you can have behavior control. And that's all they want. They just want control. And they don't have to physically force you to do it because people are doing it to themselves. Remember, we are talking about covert slavery, which covert slavery is far, far worse than overt slavery. At least with overt slavery, you can see the blood and the death right in front of you and the whips and chains and shackles. There's no internal confusion, right? You have a correct diagnosis. You're fucking enslaved. But with covert slavery and mind control, it's harder to notice. It's harder to observe unless you apply a process and an act of your willpower, and care. People are so unconscious, they don't have the awareness that there are all these problems popping up, and they're not getting the signs and symbols. They're not stepping back saying, fuck, something's wrong. Even within the truth and freedom community, these people keep talking about the effects and the symptoms, right? They want to dive into, this war, this psychological operation. Oh, the names of the social engineers and that shit. Who gives a fuck? Those are symptoms. Understand the cause of the problem and how to create change so we can stop this shit. And that's where even people in the truth and freedom community are lacking. They are unconscious. They do not have the awareness, or they're flat right willfully ignorant to it, which is even worse. So, epigenetics, creating epigeneticists, influencing thoughts to create, to usurp the evolutionary progress of human beings towards a state of involution, chaos. Oops. Okay, moving on. Now, let's talk about some of these influences, right? Mind control that the social engineers use. These are cages for consciousness. These are boxes for awareness. They are limiters of perception and limiters of spiritual development, and outright the flat out elimination of spiritual development. What are some of these cages? Well, just look at the main categories of society, right? We have the medical system, the political system, the religion, the cultural religion, which extends into Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, right? But also the New Age movement. Then we have the scientific category, and then also the financial, money. These are all cages for consciousness, all of them. And what they all are, mainly, they all are religions. That's what they are. So religion being from the Latin religare, meaning to bind or to thwart from forward progress. Well, what is the progress? Evolution, alignment with natural law. So if we observe society and we see these sections, these factions of society, we understand that all of them absolutely are thwarting the forward progress of humanity, their evolutionary progress. Perception management for behavior control. And they all of those have a similarity, right? The ultimate religion, the cage of calcification, and that is statism. The belief in human authority is the common denominator with all of those categories. So, this dominant dogmatic illusion is the mono mind virus that plagues humanity. propagating the belief in human authority over the natural world. This religion is parasitic and narcissistic, being the number one cause of unnatural death in existence, talking about government, democide. Its followers are disassociated from the natural world, creating an unconscious feedback loop of trauma, which is projected out in their own behavior, causing a vicious cycle of suffering. The belief in human authority. And this is what the unconscious feedback loop is causing, right? They are influencing perception so that when people get to the decision-making process, they are giving away their empowerment, their sovereignty, their rights. They're abdicating their responsibility as a moral human being. They are saying, oh, government will protect me. This doctor knows best, etc., etc. This priest is the arbiter of me and nature and the divine, right? These are all middlemen. These are all claiming to be the arbiters of truth. And it all comes down to that one main religion, and that is the belief in human authority. So who are the main propagators that are creating the action in our human condition of slavery and duress? It is the order followers. Okay? Yes, the majority of human beings are unconscious to how to think correctly and act correctly in the world, right? But there are some, and due to that ignorance, right, they are complicit. They are helping the force of involution break down the anima mundi, the soul of the world, right? But there are also people that are acting as order followers, right? These are individuals who do what they are told to do by a perceived superior without first judging for themselves whether or not the action to perform is morally right or wrong. This is an abdication of responsibility, and the individual is directly responsible and for any harm caused by their actions. And the famous quote, "I am just doing my job." Let's look at so these are the people that are physically performing the action. That's what action means. Act, ion. Act means to perform. Ion means energy. So they are performing the energy in reality. The military, the police, doctors, nurses, teachers. Anyone can be an order follower, which an order follower is. All these people, these are the lowest forms of human beings, especially the police and military, because these are the people, this is the strong arm of the control system. These are the ones that are physically violating beings, human beings, and propagating involution and the new control system, advancing it. So I want to touch on devolution. This is what the order followers, what they are doing. And anyone that is unconscious, because if you are unconscious, you are acting incorrectly. So what is devolution? Devolution refers to the transfer or regression of power or authority from a higher level of government to a lower level. It involves decentralizing decision-making and administrative functions to regional or local governments. Devolution can occur for various reasons, such as to address regional disparities, promote local autonomy, or self-governance. In order for humanity to step into the slipstream of higher consciousness, the abolishment of all forms of external government must be active. So, when I say devolution, I'm not talking about involution. I'm talking about the unfolding of a system. It's the unfolding or the distributing power, or not power, just any type of system itself. I looked this up and I was surprised on what the definitions had it be, because it was all referring to institutionalized or government, quote unquote, authority or topics, right? But diving deeper into the etymology, it means unfolding, right? Versus involution, which is breaking down, folding within internally and breaking down. Devolution is an unfoldment. So it would be the breaking down, the decentralizing of government. So for us we will know when we are on the path of evolution, when we are seeing a true awakening, when people are going public and talking about objective morality and natural law. The order followers of the world, the police and military, are quitting their cult and know why they are quitting their cult, and they also activate and speak out. And we will see external government, the control system, break down, unfold, regress. Now that might be scary for a lot of people that don't have a deep understanding of the information that I'm talking about, because the fear of freedom is extremely prevalent. And I think when you talk about having a truly free society, that scares the shit out of a lot of people. Well, you need to understand that you incarnated in this existence. Safety is not guaranteed. Security is not guaranteed. You can guarantee that you understand first principles and you understand non-aggression and self-defense. But this is what government plays on. Government plays on the fear-based consciousness of people. And what are people scared of? Well, people are ignorant to life, to nature, to death. They are scared of death because they have a lack of knowledge of what reality and truth are. So they are scared to die. They are scared of death itself. So they want protection, safety, security, a fucking security blanket, right? Like, come on. Are we children? Are we immature children? No, we need to be spiritual adults and know and understand that I am responsible for my local vicinity that I'm operating in. And if anyone else violates me, I have the right to defend myself. And if other people are incapable of defending themselves, like the elderly or the disabled, I or anyone else in that local vicinity has a moral obligation to defend the violation that is taking place, right? But the fear of freedom it allows for the control system to infiltrate and capitalize on, right? So this is what they play on. But understanding that when we start to see, a true awakening, we will start to see those aspects of more people communicating this information, order followers quitting their jobs, and government institutions devolving meaning unfolding. And when people hear that, they think like total collapse of society. Who knows how it could go? Either way, there is a difference between right and wrong, meaning what we have going right now is wrong, and it is promoting involution. We are in opposition to the rhythm of life. So human beings are amazing, amazing beings that can, we can come together and use our imagination and, more importantly, our will to create. This is what we're here to do. So now there are requirements for change, right? Things aren't going to just, materialize from nowhere. Like I've been saying, there is a science to reality. There is a science to creation. Now, many people claim they understand the current human condition of slavery, but have not yet activated towards the solution, which proves that they do not know what freedom truly is and how to achieve it. Willpower and care must be activated. To know and not to do means you do not know. Now, the picture on the right, that's the hypercube. It's like it's a tesseract. It's mainly a hypercube. It's 1,000 boxes within a box. This is what the truth and freedom community are stuck in. They're stuck in these boxes. People think that they're talking about a certain category, right? Even the, talking about the financial system, how it's a debt-based fiat slave system. Like, if you can understand that and understand common law, right, then you have the ultimate solution. That's just another box for consciousness. You're just dealing with the effects. We need to get down to the causal factors. But for those that say they understand this information and they have not yet acted in some form or fashion, you need to look again. Self-respect and self-love, look again. There is something that is blocking you within your own consciousness. There is a box that you are stuck in, and that is why you have not activated. You need to ask yourself the hard questions. How come I have not started? Is it because I feel like I need resources? I don't have the best equipment? I'm scared to be on camera? That's a box. That is a limiter of consciousness. You need to break the boxes. Transcend those limiters of awareness. Okay? So the reason why this is important, because there's a lot of people that actually do understand natural law, objective morality. They have a good grasp of what is going on, but they have not yet activated. And we need you to activate. We need more people onto the battlefield. Right? So to know what is going on and to not do means you don't really know, because you are being there's something holding you back. You are unconscious to something that you have not shined light onto, because you have not activated. Consciousness is thought, emotion, and action. So we need to activate our conscience. Conscience meaning con from Latin, together, sciere meaning to know, right? So conscious is possession of the definitive knowledge of the difference between right and wrong under natural law. Conscience is common sense. It means you possess. Within your mentation, within your internal ecology, you possess an accurate perception, the truth of morality, the difference between right and wrong under natural law. And only when objective morality and natural law become common sense knowledge, humanity will be free. Now, the exercise of conscience. This is the willful choosing of right action over wrong action. Once the definitive knowledge of the difference between right and wrong under natural law has been acquired, thought and emotion, you take in the information, you understand morality, you understand the difference between right and wrong. Then from there, you understand that government doesn't have a right to do what it's fucking doing. And people and these order followers don't have a right to violate other human beings. And we need to activate and go public and talk about how true freedom and real change can manifest in reality. Once you come to that realization, then you can actualize it and act in the world. Actualize, take action. This is the exercise of conscience. You are acting. So, do you know right over wrong? Question mark. Simple question, even to people that understand this information. But do you really understand right over wrong? If you understand right action over wrong, if you understand the problem in the world and you have a correct diagnosis and you understand the solution, why haven't you activated yet? Evolution. Evolution, what is evolution? Let's talk about it. Evolution is the force that is willing consciousness to move forward and expand into more complex forms. It's not just the propagation of genes, it's about morality and awareness of natural law. Genes can propagate, and still one could be devolving into involution. As humanity activates higher consciousness and aligns to moral right action in truth, the system of control and slavery will devolve as an effect. But moral systems aligned with nature will evolve as well. So this is what evolution is. We talked about some of the characteristics. You need to see evolution as a stream of energy, of consciousness, that as more people activate correctly, that understand the problem and act in the correct solution, you have more people stepping into the slipstream of evolution, of consciousness, which once that builds up, then we will start to see the tides turn and we will start to see true freedom. But we do not have that. We absolutely do not have that. So the solution, look, my text is on there again. I guess I must have been on an invisible layer. So the solution, which we talked a lot about, the solution towards freedom lies in cultivating higher consciousness. When we elevate our consciousness and deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world around us, we liberate ourselves from the constraints of ignorance, conditioning, and limited perspectives. Higher consciousness allows us to transcend the illusions of fear, attachment of ego dominance, enabling us to live authentically and align with truth. By becoming more attuned to our thoughts, emotions, and actions, we gain the clarity and discernment to make conscious choices that lead to the exercise of conscious right action for liberation and freedom. So through introspection, self-reflection, and correct knowledge, one can break free from the chains of the unconsciousness and step into the realm of right moral action. The solution: soul you shun. Soul you shun, your soul's energy. The solution is within you. You and your energy, your activation, and your action in the world. This is per the law, per natural law. This is the law of attraction, the law of manifestation. It must be performed in the physical world. And our actions are dictated by the information that we hold, the thoughts. So, awareness reveals choice. Higher awareness is necessary to see the forest from the trees. We must increase our pattern recognition by way of critical thinking, truth discovery, to make an accurate diagnosis of the problem. As we raise our consciousness, opportunity will arise for more states of harmony and symbiosis. Awareness reveals choice. As you evolve in your pattern recognition, then you are taking in more availability of information, which is going to reveal choices, more choices. This works on the aggregate level too. As the collective of humanity becomes moral and the consciousness in the collective rises up, right? More choices start to open up for us. Our creative essence and imagination is activated. It's unlimited on what we could create and the type of harmonious society that we can build. But first, things first. We need to break the cycle. Break the cycle. It's just like the toroidal field, the torus. Knowledge in, understanding, processing, wisdom out. That's the same process as evolution and involution. Evolution expanding the higher forms of consciousness, involution breaking it back down to its fundamental constituents, back down to source, to be recycled. Almost wrapped up, ladies and gentlemen. The law of freedom. So, why is this important? Right? This is the law of freedom. When human beings live in harmony with natural law and are therefore moral, they become and remain free. When human beings live in opposition with natural law, and are therefore immoral, they become and remain enslaved. Per the law, per the science of reality, of nature, of truth. So we collectively reap the result of the behavior that we collectively sow by law. As morality increases, freedom increases. As morality decreases, freedom decreases. This is why it's so important that individuals activate and get onto the battlefield so they can add their energy into the slipstream of the endeavor. So we can amplify the effectiveness of creating change within this human condition. Because the social engineers, they are absolutely dedicated, focused, and going full steam ahead. A quantum shift has requirements. So individual behavioral choices, either based in harmony or opposition to natural law, combined in energy and effects, and in the aggregate, influence the quality of the manifested, shared human experience. This dynamic acts as as a perfect expression of the principle of correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above. So, on contrary to the New Age view, in order for a quantum shift to take place, numbers are required. The word quantum means an amount. That's all it means. So like the New Age view of a quantum shift is just have to focus on the positive, raise my vibration, and don't worry about the problems of the world, and raise my consciousness to 12D, right? No, it's not how it works. The quantum shift means numbers are required. What are the requirements? Understanding what truth is, how reality operates, natural law, morality, and how to create true freedom. The main steps of problem solving. Recognizing there's a problem. Doing a correct diagnosis, taking in the information, processing it correctly, and then implementing the solution. And this is ultimately what we need to achieve. Unity consciousness. It is, as I think, so I feel, and so I act. Thoughts, mind, are the cause for action. Emotion is a frequency compass that amplifies the initiation of action. And action, act ion, is to perform energy externally in the physical world. Action is the manifested effect in the physical external realm. Unity consciousness is true alignment of thoughts, emotions, and actions. This is the ultimate solution. Individuals in balance, in unity consciousness, so that as I think, so I feel, and so I act. Your thoughts instruct. Your heart, your feelings, emotions direct the direction the right way. And your actions construct, build it in the manifested reality. The New Age variant is just think about it and feel it and it will appear. That's not how it works. This is a science, people. Your thoughts instruct, your heart, your care direct the direction, and your actions will construct it. This is unity consciousness. This is what we need. We need individuals in unity consciousness so they are activated and going public in the world and talking about this type of information. Numbers are required. Numbers are required. So, consciousness and sacrifice. So, we have thought, emotion, and action. This is the aspects of consciousness. So, for thought, the required sacrifice, time and attention, of course. The emotion, selfish concerns. Action, personal comfort. These are the required sacrifices. You're gonna sacrifice some time and attention. You're gonna sacrifice your selfish concerns. I gave up, I want to be gardening and homesteading the majority of my time. I'm not doing that. I can't do that because I have a duty and a moral obligation to do the one great work of influencing and try to educating minds to activate within themselves and take action in the world. And you are going to sacrifice personal comfort. My back hurts from sitting at a computer doing editing. I create discourse with individuals in engaging in conversations, whatever that may be. But it's the right thing to do. So, attainment and evolution. So, knowledge and morality of natural law. for the thought. This is what we need. Knowledge of morality and natural law. The emotion, you need care for truth, freedom, and justice. And your action, you will need right action through courage and willpower. Because you need to have courage to begin, to step onto the path, and then willpower to push forward and keep going for longevity. Now, the failure or the stagnation, ignorance of morality and natural law, apathy for truth, freedom and justice, inaction through cowardice and laziness. Those are the aspects. Evolution and involution, right? The internal work, the shadow work, is figuring out where you are at now and why you have not activated. Much love if you have or are in that process. Thank you. Thank you. We need more people to activate. So I commend you if you are in that process. So, no leaders, more artists. We do not need leaders in this endeavor, for leaders create followers. We need inspiration. By creating art, we can inspire minds to lead themselves out of the darkness of ignorance and into the light of knowledge and action. Excuse me. The internal work of knowing oneself will activate the creative essence, creativity, to become a unique content creator to influence minds and spark imaginations towards truth, love, and freedom. Empowerment is the one great work. This is what it comes down to. I am no one's leader. Sure, you can look as a leader in one context of somebody going first, right? But we need to not look at people as in going first, because we are far past that, right? A leader is one who inspires others to do the work within themselves and then activate and lead themselves out of ignorance and onto the path of action, and then they do the same. So a leader creates more leaders. And why? Why do we need this? Art is creative expression. It's not just painting and interpretive dance. I am doing art right now. Art is any type of creative expression. Art is the wisdom to know and the skill to do. The battlefield to reach the minds of people is in the digital realm. We need to understand the technology and how to effectively and efficiently put out a message so that we can influence people for truth, love, and freedom, so that they can activate, because numbers are required. So, to evolve, you must get involved. Truth, love, and freedom. When we think about the question that we started with, you cannot solve any problem from the same level of consciousness that created the problem. Hopefully I answered this in this presentation. That things are not going to get better. They are going to get worse. We are not going to see freedom in the aggregate of humanity and symbiosis on the planet until we raise our consciousness and activate. So, ladies and gentlemen, long presentation, I know. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I hope you guys found some value to that. Again, you can visit my website, willkeller.com. Let's go ahead and do an open discussion. Looks like Instagram disconnected my stream. Oh, well, I'm still live on willkeller.com and the One Great Work Network. The link is, I'll put it in the chat. And anybody who wants to come up here, have a discussion. I would love to have some people on. Give me your thoughts on this presentation. I love criticism, constructive criticism. I'm learning in this process as well. Again, I'm trying to simplify the profound. I want to evolve in my work as well, right? To make better forms of expression in this message. So let me get the link. And I'm going to use the restroom real quick. The link is in... Oh, I guess my link's not working on my website. Okay, sorry about that. I'll put it in all the chats. I'm going to play a music track just for 1 minute and use the restroom. Stay right here. We're going to bring some guests on. Go to my banners. Let's play... This is Joe Murray.
From all the heartache and pain and dwelling in the darkness till something sparked in my brain and it was plain to see the world was blind by the way it was trained to see, and my hunger to seek the truth brought about the change in me, and amazingly I saw the light, and how we were all sold a lie, separated and segregated, all the fighting that there's more to life than what you perceive. But if you're stuck in what you believe, then you'll always be reluctant to see, and what you put out is what you retrieve, and if our thoughts are wrong, our behaviors will be, and what we receive is a whole plane of struggling, suffering from greed, sucker to believe that we must surrender our liberties just to be free, but subsequently we see the opposite, and it's time to accept the consequences of the reflection of our collective consciousness. So drop the nonsense on the walls that got your mind in prison. It's time to rise, my people. Sky's the limit.
I hope that we can find sunrise, paint the sky. I hope that we can find sunrise.
Yo. Now it was always common sense to me that this wasn't the way shit was meant to be. My whole life all I wanted was for the rest to see. Our destiny's not to land exceptional 9 to 5. Strive to consume happiness, you'll eventually die. Trying to buy divided by the fault lines of race and religion, which makes us imprisoned in this matrix and slaves to the system. It's time to make a decision. We're at a fork in the road. How much more can we go? No more. Dwelling in the darkness till something sparked in my brain, and it was plain to see the world was blind by the way it was trained to see, and my hunger to seek the truth brought about the change in me, and amazingly I saw the light, and how we were all sold a lie, separated and segregated, all the fighting that there's more to life than what you perceive. But if you're stuck in what you believe, then you'll always be reluctant to see, and what you put out is what you retrieve, and if our thoughts are wrong, our behaviors will be, and what we'll receive is a whole plane of struggling, suffering from greed, sucker to believe that we must surrender our liberties just to be free, but some Subsequently, we see the opposite, and it's time to accept the consequences of the reflection of our collective consciousness. So drop the nonsense on the walls that got your mind in prison. It's time to rise, my people. Sky's the limit.
I hope that we can find sunrise, paint the sky. I hope that we can find sunrise,
Yo.
paint
Now it was always common sense to me that this wasn't the way shit was meant to be. My whole life, all I wanted was for the rest to see. Our destiny's not to land exceptional 9 to 5. Strive to consume happiness, you'll eventually die. Trying to buy, divided by the fault lines of race and religion, which makes us imprisoned in this matrix and slaves to the system. It's time to make a decision. We're at a fork in the road. How much more can we go? No more.
I hope that we can find sunrise.
All right, I'm back. Thank you all. There's a lot of great comments in the chat. I appreciate you all for being here. Looks like we got my brother Logan in backstage. Let me bring him on in just 1 second. Yeah, that song was by Joe Murray, Sky's the Limit. Excellent artist. All right. Let me see here. There we go.
Yo,
Yeah,
yo.
buddy.
What's up, man?
What's up, my brother? How you doing, man?
Good. As you can see, enjoying my brick and mortar home for the week.
Yeah. It's good to be back home sometimes, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've been getting some good work done, hanging out with some friends.
Excellent. I love it, man.
Great presentation, man. Super powerful and just about, it's the central focus of all spirituality, consciousness itself.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, actually next week, because I had to reschedule my last week's presentation to today, next week I'm doing spirituality. So I'm trying to do these fundamental topics to kind of build up to, diving deeper into occultism and esoteric studies. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. Very nice.
And I want to tell the viewership, if you like this presentation, go check out Logan's mind control presentation, because he talks about consciousness, does a fantastic job. What was the end up the hour for that, Logan? It was like
Just shy of 4 hours.
well worth it, every minute.
Wow, thanks, man. Appreciate that.
So let me ask you, Logan, too, because there's so many ways that you can go in a presentation. Like when I'm talking about consciousness, I end up doing like 60 slides, and I had to cut. You got to take slides out because you want to try to keep it. You want to try to convey a message, right? So you have to kind of focus on, all right, how am I going to get from point A to point B? And it can dovetail into so many different ways. Mind control is extremely vital. To understand what mind control is. So I touched on a little bit of this, explain the importance and how intricate mind control and the strategies and the tactics that the social engineers use for the main purpose of what I was conveying is obviously to captivate and entrain the mind for perception management.
Yeah, man. Great question. Your consciousness is in existence as an individuation, a little fractalization, a drop of the ocean, as it were. And it's going to be wielded in one way or another. There's no getting around that. So then the question becomes, who owns your mind and who is in control of it? If it's not you, then someone else is. And essentially the best kind of mind control is that which is so covert, like a parasite, that you think that you are still in control, and that's part of the mind control, is thinking that it's you, thinking that you're in control, but you're not. So it there's so many facets of it. To address your question specifically, that's why I recommend the presentation, because I tried to look at every single piece that is somehow related. I mean, it's a huge topic. It's like unpacking, taking the cover off of a clock and seeing all the moving pieces. That's how you can't just take one gear out and think, oh, I understand the clock now. You've got to look at all the pieces individually and also how they fit together. Just like the information you covered on the consciousness side of things. It's like mind control is like the underbelly, the dark side of the topic that you covered here.
Absolutely. 100%. And this is why, having an understanding of what animism is, right? I mean, this is like the foundation, understanding consciousness, and that all is consciousness, and that there's levels and gradients, and how does that apply to ourselves and to reality. So with so many different categories, especially in the truth and freedom, and I'm focusing on them because they at least have the fundamentals of questioning and understanding that there's a problem. But most of them don't go into the realms of consciousness, or what we call spirituality. They just stay in the effects and in the physical domain, without venturing into that energetic and that causal realm, which is a huge problem. Huge problem.
Yeah, it's just more of the same when it comes to the materialist mindset that's been implanted in most people in one way or another. I was doing an interview with our buddy Nate Cap last night, and this was coming up of recognizing some of the ways how even, say, like Christianity has a lot of materialist axioms and fundamental basis embedded in that, which you wouldn't expect, because Christianity tends to be this very humble, like, give all your money away. It's not about material wealth. But that's just that's kind of like the Disney version of materialism. There's a lot more to it. And these programs can be running even as like a shard of the whole thing, embedded in all sorts of different belief systems. So that was really interesting to me, because I'd never really thought of it that way before.
Great.
So putting all the emphasis on the external world, the out there, and not recognizing that metaphysics and consciousness, and which all ties into animism, the principle of mentalism applied, essentially,
Yeah.
is the crux of all of it. It all leads back to that. So if you're not looking to that as the root cause of all the problems that are easily seen, just about anybody at any level of awakening will at least acknowledge that the world isn't all that it could be, or there's some stuff that's wrong with it. And, people go to all different kind of degrees of coping and making excuses for this and that, and like, oh, it's not a perfect system, but it's just the best we can do. But they still will kind of at least half-heartedly acknowledge that. So it's not rocket science to tell that something is horribly amiss in the world in some way. The real trick and key lies in recognizing that solution, that it's all a projection of the state of awareness that each individual is at, and then which then combines into the grand choir of what it is we're creating in the world as a condition that is, changeable. It's malleable.
Exactly. Absolutely. It's a giant orchestra that we're all into.
The one song.
The one song.
The universe.
The universe, man. Absolutely. Real quick, I didn't put this in the chat earlier. If you guys have questions for me or Logan, or in general, put them in the chat. I'll pick those up now. The chat is extremely long on my end, so it's hard to kind of scroll up and get questions. Throw them in now if you're here. That would be awesome.
What's up, Rick? What's up, Sarah? I see
Oh,
you guys out there.
Sarah Cross, Crip Rick. Yeah, I want you to, if you don't mind, Logan, expand on a concept that I actually learned from you as well. Awareness reveals choice. So this is something that I once understanding this and then applying introspection, it's a principle. It's like a natural law in itself. Go ahead and unpack that a little bit more, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's just amazing to me how something, you will talk about simplify the profound. This is three words that are just so powerful and rich with depth and meaning that you can just continue to contemplate and see all the aspects of how this applies. But this is a concept that is so central to the spiritual being, the conscious being. And I say spiritual being because briefly, to define how I define spirituality, I mean, there's, it's just kind of an improvised, right? There's not a particular wording that I repeat every single time, but basically what it is it is the subjective experience of an individuated fractal of the all, the God consciousness, whatever you want to call that, through the human experience. It doesn't even have to be human. If you want to expand the definition even further, I would say that the animal kingdom are spiritual beings as well, as you discussed, Will. And from the animist perspective, consciousness is a spectrum. But especially just in context of, well, we are human, so this is the experience that we can most identify with, literally through the ego. That's what that is. You're born as a person. This is who you are in this life temporarily. And why did you come here? Because you wanted a personalized experience of what it's like to be a subjective little, mini me drop of the all consciousness. So and through that, the purpose of that is to expand that consciousness. It's like to look at a three-dimensional object, you can't just have one vantage point and see that thing truly, because there's sides of it that you can't see from that angle. So humankind is basically looking at truth, universal cosmic truth, from as many different angles as possible, each one through the individual experience. And eventually it's all tying into this grand evolution of us all being that same consciousness. So that consciousness is expanding, coming to know itself, know thyself deeper. There's the correspondence right there. We know ourselves, and through that, the all can come to know itself through us, and vice versa. We can come to know the all through our individual experiences. So all that to say, if that is what the spiritual experience is a personal journey of expanding consciousness, to put it in a very simple way, then of course you can't have much of an experience if you're not creating that experience through every single choice that you make, not only in your own personal life, but then again, woven together in the web of weird with all of your fellow humans who are co-creating our collective experience on planet Earth. And so you can't make better choices if you don't have the awareness to even know that they're there, first of all, or why you should make them or choose this thing over that thing. So that's what that means. Awareness reveals choice, is you can't make a choice you didn't know you already had, first of all. So the more you're raising your awareness and your personal connection through the animistic mindset of seeing yourself as part of the all, not just this like disembodied bubble or, floating head or something. Like you're a part of everything in nature, and nature is a part of you.
Mm-hmm.
And then realizing through that as your consciousness and your awareness expands, more choices reveal themselves to you, and new doors can be opened through those choices into new experiences, and further perpetuating that evolution of consciousness. So it's that feedback loop.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. I love it. I love it. I see it. I'm a visual thinker, right? I like to imagine
Yeah.
like what you were just explaining and putting an image to that. And it's just like this spiral that there's darkness all around. If the spiral is light, as the spiral makes that turn and it's shining light into a different section of the darkness, and that expands, right? It's just it's a beautiful, the way you explained it, that's perfect. Goes well with the fractalization of consciousness as well, that we are interconnected and we are a fractal of the all. And like Patty says, sometimes becoming aware increases fear. Depends upon where you find yourself. Each person is different. And sure, absolutely. As you get into that new territory that is unknown to you, it starts all over again, right? You're in a new territory. The trivium process starts again, gathering information in a new category, territory, or topic, process that, and then act accordingly. That's how I see it. But
everywhere you go, there you are. And this is the part that you have to keep. Again, everything taking back to animism is seeing like you are that constant figure, that is capable of meeting whatever experience or situation life might bring. So as you step into new realities and the unknown, you're going to have to test yourself, right? So that fear is there to reveal something about you, therefore revealing, even though awareness of something else may have increased, and to see a new possibility or unlock that possibility, it's now shining light of a part of yourself that needs to be known deeper, because there might be some kind of deep-seated fear about yourself, about your worth, about your capability. Can you handle yourself in this new situation? So it's like
it's a constant process of self-discovery.
Yes, it has to be applied to your own self, your fears, the cracks in your psyche, the wounds, all of that stuff. That's the real stuff that, very understandably people want to avoid looking at, because it's scary and it's painful and it's sometimes feels humiliating, or like you're dying or something. Like it can be extremely uncomfortable, but the irony is it's much more uncomfortable to remain in ignorance, to continue to stay in suffering, and to recreate the same cyclical patterns and self-destructive behaviors, because you're still operating from that mindset, because you haven't done that inner work.
Absolutely.
So awareness reveals choice must be applied unanimously, internally as well as externally, because otherwise you're going to create exactly that situation where there's an imbalance. It's like you're reaching for higher potential, but your internal self doesn't quite deserve it yet. And I don't mean that judgmentally. I mean, you haven't done the inner work to match, to be ready to meet that head on. It's like people that win the lottery and they haven't become a wealthy person mentally. They end up poor again, or probably in a better or a worse off situation after the fact, because it destroys them, because they haven't earned it internally.
The universe does that. A lot of people can experience this. For instance, someone that, doesn't drink alcohol anymore. They're, let's say, I'm going to stop drinking alcohol. Then they've been sober for, a week, and they want to remain true to it, and all of a sudden they find little shooters in their car that their buddy left, or they found a bottle in their closet, and they're like, how the fuck did this get here? It's just like these things pop up that kind of I call them tests, right? I mean, they're testing you. You say you want this, let's see if you are ready for it, and something will come across your path and test you. So great explanation, Logan. That was awesome, man. Got my brother Derek Barticelli.
Derek,
What's
what's up, bro?
And also, I'm going to bring in Fred.
Bonjour, yo.
Derek,
Freddie.
go ahead and tell me if you saw the presentation, your thoughts on consciousness in general, and how you're doing.
I woke up literally half an hour ago, so I was like, oh yeah, your show's on. I had a notification, but
Are you still in France?
yeah, man, yeah. So I'm 9 hours ahead of y'all. It's
Yeah.
like 6 a.m. But yeah, Logan, I just want to touch on what you spoke about. Obviously, you're talking about, making that darkness conscious within yourself, shadow work, inner work, whatever y'all want to call it. We just got to do the damn thing, right? And let that true inner freedom ring so it can be rippled out into the reality field. And I saw, just real quick before I forget, in the comments, did you play a song earlier with Joe Murray?
I did, yes.
Yeah. Much respects to that brother. I hope he's doing well. And yeah, I've mixed, I do conscious hip hop, right? I got over 100 mixes, and I got at least over a handful of tracks from him, implemented in some mixes. So that's cool. I definitely support, the FUNL, Freedom Under Natural Law Cats, and all that good stuff. Scrapping with the cubby hole. And
Yeah.
Libercast was good, Fred.
I'm doing great. Hope you all feel awesome. I mean, this another. It was gold, man. Tonight, Will, your
Thank you,
presentation
brother.
was awesome.
I appreciate that.
Like usual. And I was working on my second presentation in French, and there's a lot of work to do there. So I is the 2.0 version of what I already presented before, and it gave me I returned inside and that, and you talked about shadow work and things like that, but we have the habit of bringing a lot of darkness and in knowledge. I mean, the knowledge about the world, and this world is crazy. And but I want to bring something positive about the great work and shadow working and things like that. That it sometimes it can be a struggle, and there's a lot of suffering that is attached to it, and these suffering that you feel, we are the only one who feels it. So I tend to be now very careful about how I'm projecting this energy that I am extracting from this darkness, and there's a really some positive aspect to look into darkness with a light, with a lantern, so you can see where you're going. It's not easy to see through all these shadows of the shadow of the culture, the shadow of the religions, and the shadow of the self and things like that. So I mean there's plenty of good things that come from that, and one of the things that I want to bring up because of shadow working, and I think this self-awareness aspect, being able to introspect in the the immediate time. You have a conversation with someone, or you're seeing something, and you're able to do the introspection immediately, and not wait after the aftermath. So this is the one part, and the other part I wanted to bring is intuition. Intuition is really our sixth sense, if I can use this word, but this is a precious and invaluable tool when it comes to discernment, because we have this tendency to project, this projection thing, and we have to like take a few steps backwards, and we're getting back, and that, okay, what happened and how it happened, could I maybe do it better, things like that, that maybe will prevent you to repeat worse mistakes after that. So there's a lot of afterthoughts, and it's a discipline. It truly is, and it can be tiring.
Fred, you're talking about being conscious of your unconscious projections. Yeah, easier, hindsight 2020 and all that jazz, right?
I have a question. Yeah, thanks, Fred, for that. That was great. And it speaking of intuition, it can be hard to discern when someone's projecting onto you, or it's a valid intuitive response, or one of your projections as well. So intuition, I agree with you. It is a sixth sense, but it also needs to be developed as well, right? Because you can get what I call false intuition, which is just information that you're taking in, but you just want that information to be there, right? I mean, so you're projecting it out and you're taking it as intuition, and it's just something that you placed there and projected. I mean, probably a good example of this is being in a relationship, a romantic relationship, and people project who they want that person to be for a good portion of the relationship, and are claiming that it's an intuitive, we just click, twin flames, all this kind of stuff, right? But you're just projecting what you want it to be on there. It's not necessarily a natural, original, intuitive response that's being picked up. So yeah, I wanted to say that. But real quick, we got a question that I'll pose to everyone. This is from Crip Rick. He sent it. He says, as consciousness slowly rises, they dial in their mind control techniques, talking about the social engineers. Does this perhaps cause a never-ending circle where things seem to change but stay the same? Question.
Talking about evolution versus revolution.
Good one.
Yeah.
Good one.
In my presentation, I speak about how there's, for every new paradigm, there's already another psyop in place. And oftentimes people just continue to get caught. They think they're moving up, and in certain ways they are, but then they're running right into the next rat trap. And I call this doing the psi hop, because they're hopping from psyop to psyop, and just getting caught up in these traps. And it's very difficult, because obviously people are doing this intentionally. They think they're going the right direction. So, I mean, it's hard to even have a good answer for, as a solution, other than just develop your discernment further. And, I love that. Fred brought up the intuition aspect. That is like your superpower, but it's not the end all be all either. It needs to be balanced with your intellect and your logic and rationale. It's like two advisors that are both speaking to you. And as the leader, you listen to everyone, but you don't just immediately do what somebody's telling you. You're taking all the information in and analyzing it together and cross comparing, and then making decisions. I always like to think of the allegory of the Enterprise in Star Trek, because the captain is making all the big decisions, but he's got this whole room full of people that are experts in their own things. And I think this is intentionally a very beautiful allegory of the executive position of the mind and the brain, and then all the different aspects of the self and the psyche that are working in concert and feeding information to that executive center, and then he's making all the choices to not only be like keep everyone alive, but be victorious in battle and accomplish missions and do good things. It's really interesting.
That's good.
Yeah, and if I can add to that, I decided one day that I wouldn't try to convince anyone. I was pushing some stuff about governments and slavery and things like that, and I mean, when I'm talking about this, it's in person. When you're talking directly to people and you're doing a little bit of activism and outside, but essentially there's some people who are just not there. Okay, you're like talking to them, and then you say this combination of word, and the eyes of the people, it's you have the fluoride stare there most of the time. They're sleeping. They're like sleepwalkers. And after a year or two with the Libercast, I decided just to push the information, push the knowledge. And if some people, they get upon them this information, and I'm talking always about the one great work and things like that. So I'm sending people right there. So this is the work is done there. But some people will be aggressive, some people will get very angry, and some people will just ignore it. And we can have sometimes some anger. We can feel it from time to time. I'm repeating a lot in French, because people don't get it. And when I'm using this allegory, this analogy to explain how I see things, is you have this matrix, this basic, like, low density consciousness. And then when the people like us are breaking this barrier, and we're going out of this matrix, and then we're confronted with another one, and it's getting very hard to discern all the deceptions of the spiritual movements and the freedom movements. There's a lot of infiltration nowadays, plus the censorship, plus the shadow banning over it. So you have a bunch of ill-intended people who are doing it on purpose. It's like, are you paid for that? To just fucking trolling around and jerking around. And I mean, the only thing that I can say to people is don't fucking wait. And I think and I know why people don't do it. Is because they're scared shitless of showing their faces on the internet and being public. And this is the one thing. And after that, you have the validation and the victimization, that it's everywhere, brothers. Every fucking where.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And it's not getting better. It's getting worse. You know? The spiritual world is
Why would that be, right?
affected with that. What?
Why would that be, right? If people are augmenting their consciousness, the psyops will be augmented as well. Kind of going back to Crip Rick's question, right? So that's why we have so many nest traps and snares, the cul-de-sacs of consciousness, the new cage movements and all that jazz. And hey, there's like people that, bring psyops upon themselves, right? Are people really, trying to be operating, paying so much attention to the exterior world and not really, having that proper, self-cognizance and all that jazz? But yeah, what do they say? With great power comes great responsibility. Well, we could take that to ourselves, and like, how many people are really still operating off of 10% of their, brain capacity and all that jazz? And what's up with the true gut-brain connection, but that, heart-based intelligence, that activated heart chakra, where you are really just connected much more to source, and you have an activated intuition that's, amplified, beyond like the sixth sense, in my opinion, that kind of stuff. So when we get that shit down and we have a proper foundation of ourselves, we're able to waltz in and out of the matrix a lot less unscathed, if you will. Like Mario West likes to put it, with transurfing and reality transurfing. But
Yeah, real quick. Good point, guys. We'll go to Logan next for Crip Rick's question. But I want to say, excuse me, my voice is going out from the Prezi. In context to what Rick was saying, we need to understand that the knowledge of occultism, this category, is really where majority of the people need to go and understand, but not understand in the context of a few hundred years ago, how it applies in the modern day. The social engineers, they understand this information through and through. So their whole goal is just to advance their agenda, but keep people distracted. So, I mean, for instance, I'm in California. I'm in the Bay Area. People are hooting and hollering. Oh, the fluoride trial. It's a big win. So, like, the courts just deem that fluoride is a neurotoxin and is dangerous. I'm like, dude, that's like fucking 50 years old. Like, it's just, they just give breadcrumbs to the public, right? Because they know naturally consciousness flows. So awareness will naturally increase. So they just give breadcrumbs here and there to keep the people misdirected and quote unquote satisfied. When, just like in my presentation, the secret science of what? Of natural law and how to create change. That's what they don't want people to understand. So sure, they'll come out and they'll throw someone under the bus. They'll do an Epstein. They'll do all the fluoride trials, and they'll keep doing that when, I mean, as long as their agenda keeps going and going. A good example of this was during the social perceived crisis, the COVID pandemic. People weren't even talking about how they literally installed like the new 5G grid during the lockdown, because people are so focused in what they're doing over here that the social engineers are also doing shit over here, over here, over there, over here. So getting down to the root is important, because that root will always apply at all times to what's going on in the world.
It's kind of funny. You talk about misdirection and these dark magicians, and I was just thinking to myself, it's like there's two kinds of magic, right? There's tricks, right? Card tricks and pulling rabbits out of hats, and it's all illusion. It's not real magic, because these dark occultists have no real magic. That's why everything they do is it's empty. They have no connection to source, to true they have no creativity. That's why they envy us in that way. That's something that we have that they don't. So they're dark magicians, but they're like the Harry Houdini type of magicians. You know what I mean? So it's that those are their kind of tricks. Is, hey, look over here. Don't look, back behind the man behind the curtain, sort of a thing. Ironically, I was going to add something else, but I can't remember now.
You nailed it on that comment. Absolutely. They do not create. Because they've cut their signal. In the radio analogy, right? They're blocking the signal. They don't create. They just take and manipulate. So that's the whole agenda, right? To push illusion for delusion.
I remember what I was going to say now too, is the whole, I mean, yeah, you were dead on with that as far as the fluoride, this, the disclosure and them acknowledging stuff that's basically like elementary school stuff. This is like truther 101 kind of stuff that they're acknowledging. Oh, well, they finally admitted the sky is blue. Wow, whoop de fucking do. Until they're talking about natural law and morality, truth isn't winning. Yay, we're winning. It's such a far disparity between these kind of things that are, I mean, I'm not going to say they're bad. It's good that people are acknowledging these very basic things, but the disparity between that, the consciousness level, is this whole damn presentation is about. This is what people think is a win versus getting to the roots of it all and the stuff that they would never be talking about publicly, or acknowledging and legitimizing.
Absolutely. The black pill like community just focusing on all these events, like how do you get from there, from an information junkie to an active participant in this war? That's like the question. That's where people need to really focus on. The symptoms, they have their place. But for me, like you said, Logan, it's very elementary. Like, I'm so glad I questioned, 9/11. I questioned all these things and I looked into it and I spent months researching and all this stuff. And those were my stepping stones that led me to higher awareness for higher consciousness, right? That is great. But staying stuck there is just another bloop box.
Right.
And it kind of leads to complacency in a sense, and we have this pseudo idea that we're winning, right, and all this stuff. But hey, there's a lot of fucking work to do within oneself, and out in the real world and all that jazz. And so, I mean, yeah, for folks on the path work, we do like to actually have a celebration of moments that are positive, because those can be few and far between. But if we're really serious about this path work and getting towards true sovereignty in this society, and we got a lot of work to do. So we don't need a gazillion fucking memes about a motherfucking acorn with the police officer shit. And that's, get over it, guys. Like, we got a lot of shit to pay attention to, like.
It's good fun and all, but yeah, I mean, it just keeps coming and coming and coming. It's like, okay, yes, we know police are idiots. That's nothing new either.
One thing I wanted to say real quick, just going back to Crip's question, as far as, and it's not necessarily about psyops and all that, but when someone becomes more just spiritually enlightened or whatever, if you will, I mean, I was thinking about empaths and how they are a high commodity amongst energy drainers and narcissists and all that stuff, because when you really level up and stuff, your frequency is emanating a higher vibration. And so what do these Archon and energy looshing motherfuckers love? That kind of shit, right? So yeah, being aware of that and having strong boundaries, I think definitely helps.
Absolutely. That's, I mean, the internal work, it's extremely intricate. And when someone says something like know thyself, it's not as broad it's not broad at all, right? Because know thyself means you know your process that you are going through, and it might be very unique. Meditation might aid you, or meditation doesn't do shit, and concentration aids you. Certain, breath work. I mean, there's so many different modalities, but understanding almost the concept of and the way the body and the mind and nature operate, that gets you down to a fundamental layer where then you can know what modalities aid you, versus just paying the 150 for some type of meditation course that will activate your pineal gland. So it's just, everyone is uniquely different. So the shadow work process is intricate. It's ongoing. It's never ending. Really, it's never ending until, if it ends, you've already transcended this fucking reality. You're gone. But it's a continual process.
Yeah, the know thyself aspect. The way I look at that is you have to take into account the subjective and the objective both.
Correct.
This is, I'm sounding like, I was talking earlier about intuition and reason. Like I've got a lot of Libra. I'm all about synthesizing and balancing, which is something I think a lot of people really have a hard time with. It's very dialectic, polarized, this or that, all or nothing type of things. And I'm like, but the answer is almost always, how can you combine these together in a complementary way, like male and female, right? They're opposite, yet they complete the picture, and the power is in that synthesis. So when it comes to know thyself, there is the understanding you as an individual, your own psychology, your strengths and weaknesses, your wounds, your triggers, your just all those aspects of who you are, your deepest desires, your fears, all of those things on a personal level, intimately. But also you understand the objective framework of psychology. And so you understand it from the human level and those aspects that are universal and playing out in every individual. But what's cool about that one is it's the all-encompassing framework, which the subjective aspect fits into like a branch on a tree. It's a part of that, because you understand it's like a tapestry, and there's all these possibilities of human beings. And you're like, once you understand that, then you can kind of find yourself on the map and be like, oh, well, this is how I am. But you also understand where that fits into the bigger picture, and the ways that you can balance yourself out as well. Like, this is one really beautiful and powerful thing about the arts of gnosis, whether it be astrology or runes, which is what I'm more familiar with, is for everything, there's always kind of another thing that you can use to offset or counterbalance. So if you get a rune reading and you've got some like Merkstav runes or inverted runes, then there's other runes that you can work with that balance that energy out. Well, that's just an allegory for how we operate. If because again, it's always balance. If you're too much of a workaholic, then you need more rest, and that balances you out. Know thyself. You know that, okay, when you start getting neurotic like that, you just need to unplug and chill out for a little while, and then that's going to boost you, when you come back to it, as opposed to burning out. That's just one example of ways that yourself, your tendencies, for better or worse. And a very important thing to remember is your strengths can become your weaknesses, and your weaknesses can become your strengths, because it's all about where are you landing on that spectrum, on the scales, and what's enough to be powerful, because you don't want to be too neutral. The power is in the leaning into those polarities, but always kind of offsetting. It's like when you bend down to pick something off the floor, you stick your other leg out so you don't just fall over. It's that little bit of offset. You know what I mean?
That's what internal alchemy is, in my opinion. That's exactly what it is.
Oh yeah.
I work a lot with the elemental forces. So I mean,
Yes.
understanding when you're in an emotional state, right? I mean, you can use the counter element to balance you out. It's all
Yes.
about
It's
all
so
about balance.
cool, man. Talk about nerding out on something that is actually really, really important. You know what I mean? Instead of like
Yes.
Yu-Gi-Oh cards or something. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
just so badass. No shame there.
I wanted to bring this question up too. Fred, jump in anytime that you want. Tommy brought up a great point. The black pill info junkies seem to be more mind control than the unaware masses. Just trying to get them to look at natural law or occult information, they just won't do it. And I agree with that. When you bring up, and I've seen this in chats on other people's channels and stuff, bringing up natural law, or the occult and occult information, like he
Or
said,
objective morality.
or objective morality. That's one of the biggest. It's so triggering for people.
Yeah.
And to me, that's another box, a religion that they're stuck in. They have that emotional attachment or reactiveness, and it's
Visceral
just
reaction.
a trigger, right? It's just a trigger. We're talking about the shadow work. What's more important than observing and understanding your triggers, right? And these people are completely oblivious to it. It's like pushing a button. What do you think, Fred?
I've been following a cultural phenomena called red pilling, and let me tell you something, guys. We're not out of the shit. I mean, there's a lot of atheists there, and you have a lot of social Darwinism
Mm.
present.
A lot of Christians too.
So a lot of people are Satanists, even in the red pill movement, the blue pill movement, and the black pill movement. Doesn't matter what color it is. This is still Satanism. And after all these years exposed to dark occultists and things like that, I mean, how can people cannot see it? I mean, I tried, to explain to them what Satanism is, and it's still right now, as we talk, there are still people who think that this is the Hollywood variant, the cinematography and the music, the rock and roll, but it's go even way down than that. It's getting deep into it, and I mean 98% of the people who I like talk with or work with, or they're all Satanists. And I tried to like make them reason, and giving them examples, and showing them this knowledge. But people they don't care. They don't care, and people have the world that they cared for. They have a chaos, they have confusion, they have mental illness, they have like deep neurotic like problems, depression, anxiety, and things like that. So if you don't have any neutral, if you cannot be balanced, then how can you actually grow spiritually? It's fucking impossible. This is what it is you start with 0 -2. It's like you're not even your 2 feet are not even on the fucking board. You're not even on the board at this point. How can you make people rationalize about things that they cannot fucking understand and they won't understand? There's nothing, there's no magic solutions, we are trying to get the small amount of people. The electricity is tinkling here. We have bad weather. So yeah, I mean the first thing that I have to do is to work on myself. Change my words, change my way of approach, change the order of the things that I'm talking about and how I say it. And I think this is the one of the things that I do for myself and I do for the people. So we're cycling back to shadow working and this mirror effect that we have, you know, and we have. I mean, I'm not even fucking kidding, man. Sometimes I'm getting fucking depressed. You know, I'm getting into like, I get back in the shadow, man, and I'm fucking taking a break. Like Logan is saying, it's like you're okay. I'm stopping now for a few days, and I'm fucking revigorating, and because it's fucking it's taking all your fucking energy, man. I just building the presentation. I know you people did it, you know, presentations and putting your rhetorics and planning things, you know, planning podcasts and things like that. So it's I mean, I like this. I wouldn't fucking stop. I would do it until I die if I can. So this is I mean it's getting late, man. I need to go. Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah,
Thank you
man.
for having me,
Thanks for
and
coming
thank
on.
you
I
guys
always
for your
appreciate you.
work. Much appreciated. And shameless plug. I'm yeah. Thank you, Libercast on YouTube, and there's French and English. It's bilingual, so there's stuff for everyone there. Um, I'm still working on my next presentation. It's gonna be called Le Grand Travail. It means the great work, and it's a bigger stuffed and presentation that I'm preparing for the French people here in Quebec. So
Excellent.
thank you guys. Thank you so much for your work and have a good evening. Thank you,
Appreciate
people.
you, man. Thanks for joining again. Everyone, go check out the Libercast on YouTube and Facebook. Appreciate you.
Later, Fred.
Ciao, Fred.
Yeah, he brought up some great points, and I want to real quickly. I want to touch on a couple things. The difference between pain and suffering, right? Here's natural law in effect, right? I mean, pain is natural, meaning we incarnate in this reality. Pain is guaranteed, right? Even the birthing process is painful. If you want to get in shape, that's painful. So point being is that there is pain is engraved. It's friction. It's part of the evolution process, shedding the skin, death and rebirth, metaphorically, metaphysically, right? But suffering, even the definition of suffering, it is an allowance of an overwhelming amount of pain. Allowance. So when you are suffering, you're suffering because you are unconscious to the cause of the continual pain that you are experiencing. And this goes for humanity as well, you know. And the second thing I wanted to say was about karma itself. Yes, karma in the aggregate sense. Karma in the individual sense is what builds the aggregate sense as well. It's just on a macro level. Individual karma, again, it is time delayed, but what we do as an individual unit for our subjective experience, that adds and compounds that energy, and that energy is going to be applied for evolution or involution. Now take that individual, the non-divided, a part of the whole, and all of that energy adds together, you're getting the aggregate human condition. So doing the one great work, Number one, it's the right thing to do for truth, absolutely. And it's the right thing to do for you on your path as well. And for humanity, to end the current human condition. So coming to my point being that you have to come to the realization that this is going to be a lifelong process. And like what Logan and Fred was saying, and Derek, you have to understand yourself so you know when to fucking push through or to chill and kick back and ground and recoup. You have to know that. You have to fucking study that shit as much as possible, as often as possible. Because if you don't, you'll kick back and chill. I'll start it here. I'll start it then, and you fucking it'll never get done. Or you'll just keep powering through, and you'll get burnt out and do hardcore damage. So,
Great points, man.
Yeah.
yeah.
You've got to be the captain of your ship, like I was talking about earlier. That consciousness resides within you, and you are solely responsible for how you wield it and the decisions that you make. And
That's right.
your part that you're playing in the story that we're currently co-creating, co-writing, and playing out on the screen, so to speak. The living
Absolutely.
myth of humanity.
Yeah, I love it.
And what's up with these negative feedback loops of going back to the shadow work and these unconscious projections, and people pick up on that and kind of project it and the cycle goes, unfortunately. I want to go back to that question because I'm sure you gentlemen might have been there, kind of jaded, kind of burnt out of so much information intake, that black pill feeling. And what do we got to wash down that sticky tablet with, right? But as far as like people, information junkies, addicted to conspiraporn or whatever, what I've noticed is that it is easier to just sit back and just, keep watching stuff, watching it. Where's the outlet release valve for that? Or are people just content and kind of complacent in just, hey, I just got to know all this stuff to know to do what exactly sometimes. But it is easier. It's like that path of lesser resistance to just, take in the information and not relay it out for the brothers and sisters that need to hear these things, right? So, yeah, it is like great work. Yeah, Logan, you're going to say?
Yeah, what that's bringing up for me is something I've been thinking about again lately, just for whatever reason. I think I saw a memory of a meme that I made years ago. It was something like, it's a little girl in school staring out the window and in a classroom, and it's like public school where they remove you from life to teach you about life. And so think about how that's programming us from a very young age to look at the world that way. It's like taking in all this information, but just in this sterile, isolated environment, not hands-on with, hands in the dirt, like planting seeds and like living, being a kid, things like that. It's just kind of wiring you for that kind of mental masturbation and just analysis paralysis and just the overconsumption of conceptualizing things and not taking action on them, not doing it. I mean, most of what they teach you in school, you're constantly thinking, this is so stupid. I don't care about this. I'll never need this in life. Even kids know this. They say, as students, I remember me and other people saying this of like, we'll never need this. This is dumb,
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I've experienced this for sure in many other ways of just some topic that I'm learning about on YouTube or something like that. And I'm just like, one more video, and just keep consuming, but not really applying it.
Well said, man. Yeah,
it's like you're tricking yourself into, I'm doing something, because no, I'm learning, I'm preparing. That sounds legit. It sounds, like, oh, I'm good. I'm just working up to it. But then, like, you never do it. You never do the thing.
It's a comfortable justification right? A comfortable excuse. I mean, mainly directed to the black pill community where, they're just so focused on the current events and, prophesizing the next psyop or dialectic or whatever, or just dissecting the current events. Yeah, the false flags and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
we really need to get these people activated. I mean, and that's what the One Great Work is. That's why I say it's creating art. It's inspiration. It's getting someone to become internally motivated. Because when you are internally motivated, number one, you're in a true place of learning, but you are more apt to take action from what you've learned. And, Logan, you summed up my whole public school education career when I was young. I sat in school and I'm like, I inherently knew that most of this shit was so detached from reality. It was like, this is just BS, never going to use this. What's the point? The one class that I loved and that I, to this day, am grateful for, it was called consumer math. And that was like the class, like, okay, you're stupid at math, so you take consumer math. The whole class, all it was about, problem solving. And I was sitting there and I loved it because it was real world shit. It was stuff that I could take from the classroom and apply it in the real world. And I loved it. And it was all about critical thinking and problem solving. And it was fantastic. They don't even have that type of class
It's
anymore.
just a throwaway elective, right?
Yep, exactly.
It's funny. Ironic.
Oh yeah, I want to say something real quick. Going back to the black pilling and all that, because I mean, we've been researching and studying stuff for years and years and years. And some of our observations, we noticed that people are still just on the plane of effects and commentating just on that, not getting to the causal factors of things. I mean, what's the quote? There's millions of people hacking out the branches of evil, but who's striking out the fucking roots, right?
Yeah.
And how are we extracting ourselves from being part of the problems of those root causes? That kind of shit.
Yeah, and activating and doing the One Great Work. This is the point. I mean, with all the shit that's going on in the world, there's someone out there for sure that is looking at the genocide in the Middle East and saying that's fucked up. The way this is being handled, government's a big issue. That's what a symptom is. It's an alert. Like, hey, something's wrong over here. But then that person goes and is inspired to do some research and comes across your channel or Logan's channel or my channel or someone else out there. If we have more people out into the ethers talking about the causal factors, then there's a higher probability someone that is just starting their journey of higher awareness comes across that channel and then takes in correct information on the root of the problem. So yeah.
Definitely the most important thing for sure.
Yeah. Well, guys, this is a long show, long presentation. You guys, the chat was phenomenal. You guys guest on the show, excellent. Have you back anytime. It's always an open discussion for people to come on after my presentation. So any closing statements, and definitely plug your work.
I was going to say I was crossing my fingers and that Sarah would have joined us. Cut that.
Yeah. she's still in the chat.
Word. And yeah, just sometimes it is hard, to find a starting point of, how we want to, express our consciousness and, relay messages to help, spread awareness, awaken people and all that jazz. But yeah, we got to find that center point of what our passions are, what we feel those convictions about. And that could help people steer them towards the direction that they could really, boom, hit the ground running on that with whatever base foundation of information that they got and all that jazz. So yeah, as far as base foundations, plug in the work real quick, Dissolving the Divide. We had a great chat talking with Stephen Magé about the conflict in the Middle East. He lives in Israel. And yeah, we're trying to get to the causal factors of why people are so polarized as to like, oh, pro-Israel, pro-Palestine, and all this, what's up with just pro-fucking humanity, that kind of shit sometimes. So yeah, I got that channel with Leslie Powers. I've had you wonderful gentlemen on. It's been great. Talked about a lot of good stuff. Logan, most recently, recapping some of your stuff about the mind control and your fabulous monumental 4-hour presentation, man. Yeah, that's what's up, yo. So
Thanks, man.
That
yeah,
interview was off the hook. Sorry to interrupt, but the Dissolving the Divide interview just recently that you guys did with Logan, fucking phenomenal. So to the viewers, definitely go check that out. Check out Derek's music. You got some dope mixes on there. Awaken Your Mind, and of course, Dissolving the Divide with Leslie Powers.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
brother.
Thanks, Will. Appreciate that. Yeah, I was rewatching that the other day and was just like, oh man, yeah, one of my better ones for sure. I mean, just everyone, of course. The conversation was powerful. So yeah, so I will just call back to what we talked about. Awareness reveals choice. Take that. It's so simple, but just keep thinking about it. Keep pondering that. You can just continue to uncover and reveal so much from that. So there's a nice, easy thing to leave you with. It's 3 words that you can just kind of continue to contemplate. And anyone who would love to check out more of my work, you can go to thewizardfactory.com. All my content is there, primarily focused on the YouTube channel. I've got some new stuff coming out very soon, free as well as some paid course that I haven't announced yet. So that's really exciting. And check out the podcast and all that good stuff. So yeah, great show, Will. Pleasure to be on. Derek, good to see you, man. This was awesome.
Yeah, likewise. Definitely want to re-watch the beginning of your show, Will. I love how both you brothers articulate and lay down really simple way for people to follow and listen through and really latch on to these concepts in a profound way. So keep on doing the great work, yo.
Thank you. Appreciate you both, man. Thanks for coming on, and I'll see you maybe next week if you guys want to hop on. So
sounds good.
Thanks again, and I'll check you guys later. And to all the viewers, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hell of a show. This was a long one. I hope you guys found value and learned something and got a little inspired. Again, you can discover all my work at willkeller.com and all the social media platforms. Feel free to contact me. Send me a message if you need clarity on any type of the information that I talk about. If you need technological help. I've learned a thing or two about a thing or two in just a little bit of time I've been doing this. And but I'm always open to help and assist people. So check it out, willkeller.com. Also, shout out to Aaron Butler producing me live on the One Great Work Network, Ending Slavery One Mind at a Time. Go check out there. I got my content on there. There's over 75 content creators that all under the umbrella of natural law, objective morality, and creating freedom in the world for all. So absolutely go check that out. And like I always do, I'm going to leave you guys with a quote. And someone in the chat mentioned the inscription on the Oracle of Delphi in Greece. And I'll end with this quote because it's very fitting for consciousness. Heed these words, you who wish to probe the depths of nature. If you do not find within yourself that which you seek, neither will you find it outside. If you ignore the wonders of your own house, how do you expect to find other wonders? In you is hidden the treasure of treasures. Know thyself, and you will know the universe and the gods. Fantastic quote. Again, thanks for joining, everyone. And I'll leave you guys with a track. Let's see, what song am I going to play this time? Let's do the Joe Murray. You're gonna hear me now. Good track to go out to. And again, next week I will be doing my presentation on spirituality. So it's gonna be a good one. Check it out next Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. And you guys take care. Appreciate y'all.
Take a deep breath. Look at it again. It's a piece of shit. That's all it is. It's nothing more. You're right. You're right. Not those fuckers who want to tell you how to think.
Yo,
You're
since a
fucking
little
right.
boy, I recognized that the world was completely backwards and felt trapped, cause I couldn't put my finger on exactly what it was. But I just knew things weren't the way they were supposed to be, and felt so out of place that I thought there was something wrong with me. I couldn't be who I was expected to be, nor did I try to be, and had trouble conforming to the norms of society. So I observed quietly, hyper-conscious, felt like I was dreaming, watching people conversating over the most meaningless nonsense, trying to make sense out of what all seemed so complicated. Couldn't comprehend the way that the world operated, the fact we had to pay to be alive on a planet that God created. I knew somewhere we got betrayed, and the truth was obfuscated, and it weighed on my mind. But through time, I've come to realize all these lies and deceptions and misconceptions that led us in this direction, also painfully blatant, and I just can't fucking take it anymore. So I'm breaking my silence and making a statement. You're gonna hear me now, yeah, now the whole world's gonna hear me out. I'm no longer staying silent, time to air it out. You're gonna hear me now, I'm gonna let you all know what I think about your fucking status and the shameless world and the state it's in. You're gonna hear me now, all the rage I've been trying to control within, the awakening that I went through, the anger that I've been holding. You're gonna hear me now, I'm gonna lay it all out on the table so you understand where I stand. It's time to stop pointing fingers and start blaming ourselves. We collectively created a hell. Just look at the place, it's a disgrace. We should be ashamed of ourselves, letting a cacistocracy make a mockery of freedom. Shit, we live in a cross between 84, Brave New World, and idiocracy. It's a fucking comedy show, this country. How can we possibly tell ourselves we're free? Come on now, honestly. Allowing a state of monopoly on force and property. And this country is supposedly founded upon the principles of individual sovereignty. Shit, we straight up turned around and pissed on the graves of the founders. Just look around us and tell me what the fuck is there to be proud of? All there is to see is a bunch of servile fucking cowards bowing to those in power as the rights get devoured. It's a joke. All you clowns and your fake ass patriotism, you're all just a bunch of willing slaves to the system. It's your ignorance we're up against. So crouch down and lick the hand that feeds you and make posterity forget that you were ever a country. You're gonna hear me now, yeah, now the whole world's gonna hear me out. I'm no longer staying silent, time to air it out.